experience, but they're also actively, I guess, making it so no one else can work or to refine their user experience.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like, there's a book that we when I had my call centers, uh, we would do like a book club, but one of the books we read was called Raving Fans, and they used Apple. And like, you did you read Raving Fans? You were in marketing. Did you read that one?
I have not read it. I've heard it,
Okay,
but
so
tell
it's
me about it.
yeah, it's basically just that, like, you should design everything that you do around the user experience so that
Yes.
no matter, like, if you make mistakes or if things are quick, like the person on the other end like leaves that like being a fan of the company, or like they've had a good experience. And like Apple has done that really really well. And I think the parallel to Trump, like, he's kind of done that very well, right? Like, the cool thing about Apple is that my 4-year-old daughter and a 95-year-old woman can pick up an Apple phone and they can figure out how to use it. Like, it's intuitive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everybody feels like they belong with Apple because it's just like a dumbed down version. Like, I have in front of
Yes.
me an
That's
Asus.
why, like, real coders and engineers, you'll never hear them like standing behind Apple products because it's not. It's for the average person's user experience. Like, if you're overly tech savvy, well, no, Android is probably for you.
Yeah, I have an Asus computer now. I had an Apple computer and I just switched, and like, I hate this computer so much
Oh my God,
because
I
like
don't
I
know
can
how you're doing it.
always mess up. There's always like something that comes up and they're like, you need to fix this, and I'm like, I don't know what any of those words
I
are.
know.
But
Apple's
with
for dummies.
Apple,
Apple's
you
for
click on it
dummies.
and they're like, hey, you fucked up, but don't worry, we'll send you where you meant to go. It'll just
Yeah.
get me to the right place. It's far more intuitive. And I think that's what MAGA is. Like, MAGA is for the dumbest people on earth can be there, and the smartest, and they're all saying the same thing. So they all feel like this is elite. MAGA's done a good job branding
It
wise.
is
They
a great
created
user
raving fans.
experience,
Yeah.
right? Like I definitely agree, and only it's been recently, and I think we'll see a little bit about it when we go through the best hearing ever. Like Democrats are in no way entertaining, right? Like when you listen to people that are part of the MAGA movement talk, it is a community. Like we talk about Apple, it's a good user experience. There's a community. It's fun. They always say, I can understand what Trump's saying. I can't, for better or for worse. Like Democratic politicians need to take on board. These people are saying
That
they
was
don't.
close, Felice.
I
That was
know
close.
they don't understand you, and for better or for worse, you need to do something about that. If that's be more entertaining, if that's use smaller words, I don't care. But when people are saying I don't understand Democratic politicians, and for that reason I don't trust them because I don't
Yeah.
even understand the words they're saying. Well, that's not going to change unless we communicate differently. Like I think they did a great job in the hearing, making things very simple, very entertaining, like, and I think the Democrats get that now. Like you do, unfortunately, should politics be about entertainment? No, but with the onset of reality TV and the way clips are being disseminated on the internet and people are getting their politics from that, you have to be entertaining or people are not going to consume the content.
Yeah, and the thing I think that is going to be demonstrated in this hearing, just nonstop, is that, like, if you make a good, there's a difference between like a good slam in these hearings. Like, every once in a while, somebody from one side will like land a good slam on Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's usually who they're dunking on. And you're like, that's funny, but it wasn't impactful, right? It was just a funny quip that we all get to laugh at the team that we hate. But in this hearing, like, most of the punchlines were also things that were true and important, and like showed glaring hypocrisy. This is, like you said, this is the best hearing I've ever watched in my whole life, and I made it through 3/4 of it. I haven't watched the last
It's like
four, so you're
seven.
probably
This
gonna
is
get
one
it.
of the longest hearings. It was so
Yeah,
long. It was
I was a
long.
I was a bad parent yesterday because of how entertaining this was. Like, I had my daughter, and I usually have it in on my ear, and then whenever she wants to play with me, I just take it out. But I was like, no, no, we should watch another episode of Creature Cases, and I just like kept trying to plant her in front of the TV so I could finish listening to it. It was, if you guys haven't listened to it, I recommend it. But we're gonna cover a lot of it today.
Yeah, we'll try to cover the relevant parts, sift through the boring parts. But yeah, I do think it's very important that we do need to think about how we are communicating, and is it in a way that's like easily consumable, easily understandable, easily palatable? Because that is the message that I keep hearing from Republicans.
Yeah. And it's well, we'll get there. The funny thing is, for like the Republicans were palatable, right? Like the MAGA movement, like everybody understood it. To like to now, nobody knows what they're saying. Like nobody knows what Donald Trump is saying. Every single time he holds a rally, like you see a bunch of reporters going around to like his fans later, and they're like, "What did he mean by this?" Like they have to decipher everything he says right now because it's so bizarre. And so like they've gone from like crazy and
It is.
palatable to just like crazy and what?
No, it's true. There is a whole cottage, like maybe explaining policy might be what happens on the left, but on the right, yeah, there's a whole industry of like, oh, this is what he really meant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are like decoding Donald Trump's like weird statements is a job we could all have if we
Like
so choose.
remember Kofefi, and
Oh yeah.
but there was like I don't know how tied in you were to the right at that time. Like I was still like a libertarian, so I still agreed with a lot of the stuff on the right. So I saw that, but like people were legitimately saying like Kofefi was code for I don't even remember. Like it was the COV stands for this and the FEFE stands for this, and it had something
Yeah.
loosely based to like kidnapping children. It was like, but they were all just like trying to guess what the fuck this guy was saying. It's like no, he just forgot to say the rest of the word. That's all that happened. It's just
I know it's so crazy, all because a narcissist won't say like, "Oh, hey guys, I misspoke."
that's a good point. Yeah.
Like just all in service of a narcissist can never be wrong because then their image of themselves would shatter. All right, so this is what I think we should do is just we'll go through the hearing, I'll play clips, we'll comment, and then also I wove in like some news clips. So like the first four clips are like, Jib Jordan stuff. They were doing their like pre-hearing interviews and I also
Yeah.
got some clips like of them during the hearings, like on the breaks in the hallways talking to the news. And it's just Byron Donalds. Oh my good Lord. Byron Donalds will just make up lies.
Oh, he sucks so much.
They just
He's the
marched him out.
worst.
He was the designated, like, hey, you need to go talk to the press on these breaks. And I will say this, like, the Republican press, even Newsmax have been pushing back. Like, it just be like, okay, but where's the evidence? Like Fox just kept cutting off. Like, well, Lev Parnas, whenever they were scared of Lev Parnas, when he would start talking and like delivering truths, they would just like cut away and be like, never mind. Like,
Yeah, because the problem with Lev Parnas in comparison to everybody else today is just not only is what he's saying true, but his demeanor and his delivery, like he's coming off very confident. He's coming off like somebody who's telling the truth. Especially like compared to Screamy McScream Pants next to him, that thinks like we have to start everything at level 8, and we can fluctuate between 8 and 10. But if you go to 7, you're losing. He's a psycho.
and the interesting thing, like, and we'll see throughout the hearing, is just how much, like, I think Lev Parnas could see himself in Tony Bobolinsky. And he's just like, you need to shut up, man. Like, he's like, this is how you go to jail for perjury. Like, stop. Because Lev Parnas knows that this guy is lying. You know what I mean? And he's just like giving him advice almost, like, just be quiet. Like, you
It
don't.
did feel like that. Like it was the before and after.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he
that's
saw,
it was
yeah,
eerie. It was like
yeah.
like many times Lev Parnas is like, yeah, I used to be you. Like, you don't know
Well,
what you're doing.
he was crazy. Lev Parnas during that time, like when he first was getting in trouble, he did sound like a lunatic, and now he's just like, all right, that was crazy, guys. Sorry, I had a little time to myself. I was in a jail cell for a while, and once you guys weren't around anymore, I was like, huh, that was fucking crazy. That's not true. He's like, that's all I needed was just to be away from them and think for myself for a
That
minute, and
is
then I
what
was
he
like,
said.
oh,
Yeah, he did
yeah.
say that. I do remember that.
Just I don't remember exactly how I said it, but that's him explaining like his realization and his honesty in saying like, yeah, like, I knew at the time that we didn't have evidence, but like everybody else was so confident in the evidence
Yeah.
that like I was like, oh well, like yeah, it's coming. It's so he's like there was just this energy of we're accomplishing things, but then once I stepped away, it's like no, we weren't getting anywhere. None of this was evidence. We were just like hyping each other up.
Okay, so let's tap the screen. I can't even. I don't know
Shout
why
out
my
Ronnie
legs.
Jackson.
Oh God.
Ronnie's
Shout
just
out,
keeping everybody on uppers. and
not
they're-
Rear Admiral Ronnie Jackson, Captain Ronnie, who forgot to mention to all of us that he was demoted from Rear Admiral years ago.
And you
So
had a
let's
bad
never
day.
ever say that Ronnie Jackson is a Rear Admiral.
But
Guys,
when you connect those stories, doesn't it kind of make sense? Like, I've never, I guess you probably have. This is probably me coming to a realization, but like, I'm like, oh, they were all doing drugs, but they were also crazy. And I never put together, like, maybe they were crazy because they were all doing drugs together. Like maybe Ronnie Jackson had a much bigger impact than we even know. Like, if he was passing out goodies like that,
well,
and
he had
people
them in
were going into
baggies,
meetings on
and they were
uppers.
that's why he got demoted. They were in baggies, not attached to prescriptions that
Yeah.
he was handing people on plane trips.
Yeah, so you don't think that, like, think of how Trump was when he was in Russia. Those guys got just zooted on the plane over there. You know they did. And then they show up and he's like, yeah, Vladimir's making a lot of sense. I don't know about our FBI anymore. I'm Team Vladimir.
Okay, so guys, let's keep tapping the screen while we're playing clips. If you would like to donate, we do rely on your grassroots donations to do this. This is our only jobs, which is shocking. If you would like to donate to us, we'll read the messages out periodically. So like an F. Mary Banish or a funny message or anything like about what we're talking about, Jay will read it out within reason, right, Jay?
Yeah, which is, considering who I am, I'll read most things.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have much of a filter.
Okay, so this is pre-game. So this is before the hearing starts. People, Jim Jordan is on Newsmax.
This is
Is
we have
impeachment
fucking
the next
pre-game
step? Are you
shows.
going to hold a vote on the House floor? I know it's up to Mike Johnson, but the margins, Congressman, you lost Kevin McCarthy. Ken Buck left last week. George Santos was ousted. Unless you get Democratic votes, this is going to be real tough. So it kind of seems like you're chasing your tail at this point because this is not going to go anywhere.
No, fair question, and we got a small majority. Everyone understands that, not just on this issue, but on a host of issues. Our job is under the Constitution is to do our.
Is impeachment the?
Oh, sorry. I don't know what.
It kind of seems like you're chasing your.
Oh no, that was
Do
the
an
whole clip.
investigation?
Anyways, so sorry. I just
No, it's good.
I recorded it twice.
I think we both got excited to hear like what lie Jim Jordan was about to tell right there. I think that's
Yeah, there is no lie because I mean that it was hammered over and over and over. I think Jared Moskowitz did the best job of just pointing out like there is no point. They can't impeach. At one point, Moskowitz was yelling at Covert like, "Call for the vote."
Yeah. Did you see, I'm sure everybody saw this, but Moskowitz came out and it was a Richard Nixon mask, right? Is that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah, and he was just like walking through the halls of Congress answering questions and nobody knew who he was. And you see him like he goes into the room and somebody goes, "Isn't that childish, Moskowitz?" And they're like, "Oh, that what?" You hear other reporters like, "Oh, that was Moskowitz? Oh, great. I didn't know that was Oh, a Putin mask. That's what it was. That's right. A Putin mask. Oh yeah, because he was saying, yeah, because his answer.
I want to see a picture.
Let me pull up his quote on the Putin mask. They asked him why he was wearing a Putin mask. Does anybody remember? I can't remember what he said about it.
Where's Putin mask to? I mean, there's articles about it here. I'm sure for
this
taking
one-
all
yeah,
our
here's-
intelligence
here's
and
the
using
quote.
it for taking all of our. Go ahead. What is it?
Yeah, for taking all our intelligence and using it in the committee, maybe he can come see the technology in our grocery stores. So then he takes a shot at Tucker. That killed me. And then somebody's like, "Isn't that childish?" Of course it's childish. Like, if somebody on the right was doing this, I'd probably be kind of upset. I'd be like, "This is ridiculous. You guys are making a mockery of this hearing." But like where I'm at, and that this hearing is it should be mocked. I love it, but I do want to admit that if like this was Matt Gaetz, I'd be like, "You fucking piece of shit." I'd be so mad.
Matt Gaetz was boiling my blood. Completely. Okay, so that's Newsmax. So Newsmax, and they were hard. They were asking tough questions. Like people are basically like, at this point, you don't have the votes. Why are we doing this?
At the end of this week, Congress is due to go into recess for another 2 weeks. And I do think that in some ways it just feels like they keep doing the same hearing over and over again. And people are starting to wonder, at some point, do you fish or cut bait? and do something about a vote or not and move on to the general election.
Okay, so
I heard that phrase Fisher cut bait like 5 times from different people yesterday. Like Swalwell was screaming that at one point at Cover. Like,
Well, what they're clearly trying to do is they're trying to reach out to fishermen and recruit fishing boats for Joe Biden.
yeah, and so that was Fox, right? Like, it is not like this. I mean, Fox has just had it with this. They don't even care. Now, this is Jason Smith. Like, right after that, he was on Fox. Jason Smith is the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. Like, he's the finance guy that's supposed to find the actual evidence that links Joe Biden to this, right?
And
That
he's
would
doing
be
great.
Jason. Yeah, he's doing an amazing job.
The Chinese or the Kazakhstanis, or if it is the Kazakhstanis, apologize, or the Ukrainians, what did they get for the services that were provided?
I think every situation's different, and a lot of it in regards to the Chinese, we don't know the answers to, but Jim Jordan has been very specific about Ukraine, and when you talk about Burisma, you have President Biden, when he was vice president, said that they were going to withhold over $1 billion unless this prosecutor that was investigating Burisma, which is a company that Hunter Biden paid millions of dollars for setting on, was fired. And guess what? He was fired, the money was released. We have numerous examples from the IRS whistleblowers and also from the witnesses here of where there was, in fact, Joe Biden's government action along with some very suspicious actions with Hunter Biden's business associates.
And I'm glad he brought that up because, in fact, that is the opposite, right? Like Joe Biden firing that prosecutor actually hurt Burisma. So that's not going to work in court or anywhere else. But thank you. Like,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
actually proof that Joe Biden was not doing what they said he was doing.
Yet they're all still saying this lie.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of wild about the
Well, it was
Republicans. They don't
debunked
care.
so many times in this hearing. So don't worry, we won't be hearing it that much more. Let's get to the hearing. I want to I'll play a couple clips of Comer and then Jim Jordan. These are some of their opening stuff, right?
If you were imagining a man speaking in that last clip with the world's worst comb over, you were correct.
Jason Smith,
That's-
yeah, I
that's
know.
what you- and if you
Jason
want to
Smith.
see Jason Smith's comb over, which I would never make fun of ever, you might want to Google Jason Smith's comb over.
The chair also notes that points of order pertaining to the engaging of personalities against the president will not be in order for the duration of today's hearing. Given that this
So what he just said was normally you're not allowed to engage in personalities. That means personally insult and attack people. And what James Comer is saying, for the purpose of this hearing, you are allowed to engage in personalities, meaning verbally attack Joe
Yeah.
Biden. Like
Wait.
it's
Yeah, but it took James Comer like 15 minutes to figure out what to do with this. He's so inept. Every time somebody brings an objection, it takes him 15 minutes, and him and Jim Jordan have to put their heads together with those dopes that they keep around them that for some reason they think they're good legal experts, even though they lose every fucking time. But yeah, after 15 minutes, they came up
oh
with...
my God, this is even worse. This is part of his opening statement, and he's dead serious about this stuff.
After years of Democrats using this committee as a mouthpiece for every conspiracy theory they could find, like the Russian collusion hoax, under my leadership, the committee has returned to real investigations.
Like, is this opposite day? I can't with James Comer.
They're real shitty. What I meant is real shitty investigate. We have returned to
He's
real
like, thank
shitty
God I'm in
investigations."
charge. Even the Republicans say you can't do your job, James Comer. Like, nobody in that room, not Republican or Democrat, could believe that. Like, it's hilarious.
After years of prosecutions and investigations that turned up indictments and people went to jail over, after 4 years of that, we're back to this dog shit where we're just going to keep talking about Joe Biden, and we're not going to tell you what crime he committed because we don't know, but we're back to that. This is the James Comer show.
And then Jim Jordan has something, gives his opening statement, which is, these people live in another planet.
How about this one? Who left cocaine at the White House? Biden administration
Ronnie
doesn't seem
Jackson?
to have time to answer these questions. They're too busy investigating parents at school board meetings, labeling Catholics extremists, retaliating against whistleblowers. They're too busy putting together a sweetheart deal for Hunter Biden, a deal that got laughed out of court. And the guy who put together the deal that got laughed out of court, that's the guy they name special counsel.
A Republican.
You know what Democrats do have time for? Going after President Trump. They've been doing it for 8 years. They spied on his campaign. Then it was the Mueller investigation, 19 lawyers, 40 agents, $30 million, and found nothing. Then it was impeachment. Then it was raid his home. Then it was a special counsel. Then it was the 14th Amendment.
Thank you, Jim. None of that's true.
Then
But
it
thank
was
you
the
for just
14th
yelling,
Amendment.
yelling your feelings at us. Nobody cares, Jim. Like,
By the way, I just want to point out that he said they don't have time to find out who brought snow in the White House, but they have time, and then list off like 10 things that are actual crimes and that actually matter to our country. Like, nobody cares how the snow got in the White House. Nobody. Like, nobody needs to know that. No investigation needs to be done. It's okay. It was there. And somebody's probably really upset that it was still there and not with them. That's the real victim in all of this, is the person who can't get it back.
And actually, like that, it's the same thing with the Ronnie Jackson White House, doctor report about him doling out the goods. I do agree. Like, if you have to be on a plane and you're like one of Trump's aides and you're up all night long because he's up all night long and won't let you sleep, and you're going to get off that plane and you have like a full day of duties, like, what do you expect people to be doing? Same thing with what they found in the White House. Am I surprised that these people seem to need a bunch of uppers? No, I'm not. I would know, like you said, like I'm really not faulting people for what they're doing to survive while working 22 hours a day.
Yeah, it's the perfect storm. You have one side that is getting just zooted and then coming up with the wildest conspiracies possible. And like, actually, there's actually a whole ass organization that got elected to president, and like half of them were working with a foreign government, and they were just like sharing information. Yeah, like, if you're on the other side of the aisle, then you may need a pick-me-up to keep up with the nonsense that is constantly being thrown your way. Just like corruption after corruption after corruption, chasing down black market baby parts. Yeah, it's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know, but either way, like, chickens are high.
Exactly. Well said. Okay, so now imagine that. So first, the opening statements are from like Cobra, who's insane, Jim Jordan, who's just yelling his feelings, and then Raskin goes, which is not even fair because it's just, and then like someone who may one day be sitting on the Supreme Court goes.
With any luck, today marks the end of perhaps the most spectacular failure in the history of congressional investigations. The effort to find a high crime or misdemeanor committed by Joe Biden and then to impeach him for it. In prior hilarious episodes of this long-running madcap series, America got to see the following. 1, nearly 20 fact witnesses who could not identify a single act of wrongdoing by President Biden, much less a high crime and misdemeanor, and who overwhelmingly testified that Biden was not involved in any of his family's business adventures. 2, 3 expert witnesses called by the majority itself who said nothing that they had seen in the tens of thousands of pages of documents adduced by the majority even remotely approached the level of a high crime and misdemeanor. Bank records would show exactly what all the witnesses told us, that Joe Biden was not involved in his family members' businesses. Repeated voyeuristic displays of pornographic images by the majority, completely irrelevant to any conceivable legislative or investigative purpose. A star witness, Gal Luft, who turned out to be a Chinese agent and an illegal arms trafficker on the run from American justice. And the key piece of evidence, which launched the entire zany goose chase, an FD 1023 form in which the FBI duly recorded a completely fictional tip about a $5 million bribe to Vice President Biden, peddled by Alex Smirnoff, who has been criminally indicted by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, Special Counsel David Weiss, for felony counts of systematically lying to the FBI in constructing a false record about Joe Biden and now sits in jail in California as a flight risk while the world studies his long-standing and extensive ties to Russian intelligence.
Preach, James. I mean, come on, Raskin. Like, that was just
Lord.
the opening, like, salvo. Like, that's what I was like, who knows what is going to come from this man? He was on fire.
That made me feel something. That made me, yeah, I liked that a lot.
For nearly $1 million.
Sorry. I like Jamie Raskin because he doesn't like his intelligence insulted, and I don't think any of us do. And that's all, like, that's what every time Comer and Jim Jordan open their mouths, that's what they're doing, insulting the intelligence of the American people.
I think one thing that's important to note, like as we go through these videos, is the things that Comer just laid out, the stuff about Smirnoff, the stuff about the lack of any evidence tying, like any money actually getting to Joe Biden. You won't hear at any point during this hearing any Republican connect money directly to Joe Biden. And they won't be able to connect any of these dots that Comer has just, or not Comer, excuse me, Raskin has just laid out. They won't connect any of these. They won't even touch on any of these. What they're going to keep doing is like, they'll rely on the testimony of Bobulinski, who is going to tell you what he remembers hearing on a phone call, and then he's going to be like, oh, and here's what their mindset was. Here's what other people's mindsets were during the phone call. That's literally what their evidence is now at this point, is one guy saying what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were thinking. Right? Like that's the whole case now.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so then Raskin goes on and starts bringing up the ski mask. You know, Tony Bobulinski, just to remind you, is the guy who, not just him, but the Secret Service had ski masks on, and he was meeting in a parking lot with Mark Meadows, and Cassidy Hutchinson said she was there and saw him hand an envelope off. And he denied it, and then she produced the picture. So Raskin now has blown up that photo, and it's behind him of Bobulinski in a ski mask.
I didn't see that. I was listening. I didn't see it.
Suing his own dying father's charity for nearly $1 million. And just last month, suing Cassidy Hutchinson for $10 million after she reported that Mr. Bobulinski, wearing a ski mask, met with Mark Meadows, which Ms. Hutchinson is now backed up with actual documentary photographic evidence, something in very short supply in this investigation. farce with criminal referrals. But criminal crimes we have seen are Alex Smirnoff, Chinese agent Gal Luft, Devin Archer, and Jason Galanis. The minority witness today, our witness, Lev Parnas, casts a piercing light on what's really taking place here. And Mr. Parnas has reason to know. He, too, used to be a mega sycophant peddling lies and disinformation to smear Joe Biden. Today, he joins a long line of self-exiles from Trump world who could no longer stomach all the corruption and deceit. People like Cassidy Hutchinson, people like Michael Cohen, Sarah Matthews, Alyssa Griffin, General James Mattis, the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, General John Kelly, and now Vice President Mike Pence, who refuses to endorse for president the man he served with. But we do have loyal sycophants still in the room, and one day I look forward to hearing their testimony about how they got sunk into this religious cult.
He said it, not us, whatever.
Wherever they had these cameras set up this time, that they had that camera like directly behind Moskowitz when he was talking to Comer, and I appreciate whoever has decided to add that camera view more often. Angles. And so watching the face of Jim Jordan and James Comer throughout that hearing yesterday was chef's kiss. It was beautiful because oftentimes you could see who was better at their job, because you could see it in the Moskowitz clip. Comer gets this big scowl on his face, but Jim Jordan thinks he has a line. So Jim Jordan is smiling and Comer is still mad. And that happened a lot, just showing that as dumb as they both are, Comer is a little bit dumber than Jim Jordan. And that was on display all day. You could always
it depends. God, ahead. I can't even, I don't know. It depends on the day. I don't know.
At least he has something to say.
So
Comer can't figure out what to say.
Forth. I don't know it's hard for me. It really depends on the day. Sometimes I have thought it was Comer, but then there's other times where Jim is just, I can't believe he's real.
He might not be.
Guys, keep tapping the screen. If you would like to donate to us, this is the Cash App and Venmo. We will read the notes periodically throughout the show. Okay.
Hold on. You guys disagree? You guys think Comer is smarter than Jim Jordan?
Yes, definitely. I definitely do.
That's crazy. No.
He is.
He is so slow on his feet. He's never quick with the comeback. He always has to have somebody in his ear telling him everything. I think you're being dissuaded. I think he has a good script writer, but in the moment, he has no idea what he's talking about ever. He gets killed in every interview he goes in. Jim Jordan's really good at going back to his 4 points or his 3 points every time he's in a discussion. So at least dumb people can follow along. But with Comer, nobody can follow along.
I don't know. Agree to disagree.
Well, that's my argument.
For Mr. Galanis sat for a transcribed interview with this committee on February 23rd, 2024. We asked the Bureau of Prisons to make him available in person today. They would only provide Mr. Galanis for virtual testimony.
Oh.
Notably, Mr. Galanis applied for CARES Act home confinement.
I just want to point out.
And mind you, he's on the screen from jail right now while this is being said.
Their star witnesses are Bob Alinsky, who is just a maniac, and an actual convicted felon who's talking from jail. I just put those are the star witnesses here for the GOP. Just incredible stuff.
Him available in person today. They would only provide Mr. Galanis for virtual testimony. Notably, Mr. Galanis applied for CARES Act home confinement, and after a lengthy approval process, was approved for home confinement on June 9th, 2023. On June 12th, 2023, I issued a subpoena to Devin Archer for testimony. On the following day, June 13th, 2023, Mr. Galanis' approval was reversed as a result of Department of Justice's intervention. So Mr. Galanis has remained in a federal prison facility. He is currently in Montgomery, Alabama. Mr. Galanis, can you please state for the record who else is in the room with you?
Yes, Chairman, my counsel and advisor, Mark Paletta,
Felice,
Nicholas Wise.
can you pause that real quick?
It's done.
What-
I just wanted
sorry.
it to finish.
Oh, sorry. What is he trying to say there? What's he trying to connect there with, like, the him asking for testimony from Archer and then them denying home confinement request? Is he trying to say that, like, the DOJ was retaliating against him because
it's
they
not
asked
just
Devin
Galanis-
Archer to testify?
It's actually
What did he
farther
say?
than that. It goes farther than just this clip. Like, in his, I didn't do clips because barely anyone talked to Galanis. Once you defraud a indigenous tribe of millions of dollars, I don't care anymore what you have to say, but I listened to Galanis' open testimony. And, like, this is the weird thing. And also, I don't think this is funny, or, like, I don't want us to laugh about this. So that's another reason I'm not going to play this. But, like, in my opinion, if I remember correctly, Galanis is basically saying, like, was implying himself, like, what he was saying in his opening statement was that people were trying to grape him in prison, and he was like, that's why he needed a transfer, and was attesting that treatment. And I don't know if he was attesting, like, the essay attempts, or, like, the availability of him. The people were able to get to him to do that in the first place, and the guards were allowing it to happen. But he was basically implying that that's why he needed the transfer, or that's why he wanted to be on house arrest. So I actually, like, whatever his reality is, I don't think any federal or U.S. state prison is a great place to be. And he seemed sincere about that.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just, I don't. Is that what Comer, like, trying to say that they're, like, torturing?
Yeah,
I think that's what he's trying to say,
and
right?
Galanis went more, and Galanis. He's fearing for his safety. Ultimately, and they got him transferred to a place where he said he feels safer now. Which, yeah, tell that to the rest of the people in prison who are not safe. Like, this is a two-tier justice system. No one else can get transferred when they're not safe in our prison system. Like, no one else gets a congressional platform to say they're not safe. Yeah, I have mixed feelings, but that is why what Comer is alluding to, I think.
Some of you in the comments are ruthless. We won't. Some of you are ruthless. By the way, while Felice is pulling up the next clip, look, I adjusted it. What did you think about my adjustment, Felice? Look,
You got the lightest, like. Next time, can we do a bold font that people can see?
So it's a little better.
And then just move it down, like, right over here.
So it's a little better, but not all the way. Okay.
I just want people to see it.
Every day in every way, we get a little better.
But I can do it this next time, because the reason I thought you wanted to do it is because the whole point is, like, we should have the same font, but you didn't even make us have the same font.
Well, here's the problem.
So never mind. I can make up my own font all on my own.
Yeah, maybe you just do it.
This is an aesthetics thing. Like, but can you just then tell me what fonts it is? Like, it shouldn't be like this.
I'm very sorry. Listen, you shouldn't. I do feel like, I'm sorry. I did not do a good job. I do feel like this is a little bit on you. You should have known I wouldn't do a good job with this. I think at this point,
do you know what weaponized incompetence is?
Yeah, what I just did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So anyways, that's where we take donations. If you can't read the font over here, there's a smaller version over here. If for some reason you can only read smaller print, go to my side. And if you like semi-blurry but a little bit bigger print, go to Felice's side.
Wait, I lost my... Sorry, one more second. I just lost my place.
This is entirely my fault.
Just give me 1 second. I'll figure it out. I think we're on... And I think it's 55 where I'm starting. So, yeah. Okay. So Bob Alinsky is this whole time just violently angry. Nobody knows why. And he just starts interrupting people, and he's trying to, like I wouldn't go after Jamie Raskin, but, that's a personal choice.
Chief Technology Officer.
Oh, yeah, now I remember. Okay, so, and I don't know, maybe it was Jamie Raskin who was saying something, but I can't hear and couldn't hear during the hearing what was said. Somebody said something, and then it seems like he directs his comments, Bob Alinsky directs his comments to Raskin.
Technology Officer.
Proceed. I apologize for the disruption from the.
Okay. Am I supposed to say it's my time, Mr. Raskin?
Yeah. But please, Mr. Bobulinski, please
No, you're not.
come to order.
Yeah, what?
Mr. Bobulinski, please proceed.
Can you believe he said
Hold up,
that? Like,
what?
this guy is out of his mind.
It's like he had this idea, like he had watched some highlights from hearings as he got prepared, and he's like, okay, I've got to be ready to like interrupt and be loud and put on a really good performance. Like he appears to have hyped himself up. That's so when he's like, is this when I should say it's my time? No, bitch, you don't have time. You're on that side. The people who control the time are the people up there. You're not up there. You're down there. He didn't watch the highlights carefully. He should have.
Please proceed. I apologize for the disruption from the minority.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it save his time, but he called members of this committee liars, and I just want to know whether the order and decorum requirements of House Rule 11 apply to witnesses appearing before the committee. Does it apply or does it not?
Why did he gavel right there? Why did he gavel?
Because like you said, no, this is a moment, this is one of the moments you were saying. But like, I'll say this, like Comer's confusion in these hearings is genuine because, but I mean, listen, this is what it is. He does not know the rules, right? Jamie Raskin knows the rules of the House and the oversight and accountability hearings. Like, and Dan Goldman basically has them memorized. So they're always doing like parliamentary inquiries, and Comer's face is, he's looking at his assistants like, what are they talking about? Like,
Translation.
all the time.
Felice just said, I want you guys to know that it may just appear that James Comer has no idea what he's doing, but he really doesn't. He really, really doesn't.
Well, yeah, as far as the rules of committee hearings, like when Raskin starts referencing like section 11, he has he's like, someone get me the rule book. He has no idea.
That's why you hear him gavel right there. Like nobody's talking. The question has been asked. It's his turn to answer. And he's just like, fuck, gavel, gavel, gavel. He has no idea what he's doing.
Should I address? I don't.
Tony's like, what's going on?
Nobody's talking. So Tony, is it my turn?
There's decorum from the members. We've asked for that. There's no language that I'm aware of pertaining to a witness.
Thank you.
So don't make sure we didn't waste any of his time on the opening statement. Mr. Bobulinski, I'm sorry for the disruption. Please continue your opening statement.
I think Mr. Raskin, used.
We'll make sure it's right. We'll make sure.
Okay, great. I just want to restate.
Bobulinski is like telling on you. Do you see what he's doing? He's literally trying to get Raskin in trouble. Like, can you just read your opening statement and be quiet?
Raises his hands.
Inquiry.
Jamie's talking
State
shit.
your parliamentary inquiry because we've got a very important hearing here and we don't have time for stunts. What's your parliamentary inquiry?
So that's when then Dan Goldman breaks in, is like parliamentary inquiry, again interrupts Tony Bobulinski his opening statement, and Comer just freaks out and doesn't even let it happen. Like, he's just like, nope, you're not talking anymore. We have to get, but I get, it's literally like Comer's a kindergarten teacher.
Mr. Bobulinski. You don't have a parliamentary inquiry. Chair now recognizes Mr. Parnas for equal time. Committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Chair recognizes Mr. Parnas.
Does the committee have the text messages that Mr. Bobulinski?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have time for games by Democrats.
That's Nancy Mace. So Dan Goldman is basically saying, show us the text messages. He keeps referencing this BlackBerry or whatever, but we want to see the text messages and the data behind it. And that's what the parliamentary inquiry is about. James Comer's like, no, I don't care. We're not. I refuse to let you do this right now. And it's just like pushing on. Then Nancy Mace starts screaming like she has anything to do with this.
Like we talked about yesterday, we have no idea if the screenshots we've seen are real. We have no idea.
One knows.
The Republicans,
and they've doctored screenshots before.
Yeah,
Byron Donald did.
Bobulinski has volunteered the phone, and the Republicans are like, no, don't give it to him. And then and now they're saying, well, if he's going to testify and he's willing to give us these messages, can we look at them? We just want to see. You hear Goldman say, or even the data, like show us the data, the metadata.
That's
of the
what we
photos,
really should
so we
see,
can verify
for sure.
But not Raskin, Comer says it multiple times. Like, we have the screenshots. They're just screenshots, which can easily be edited, can easily be faked.
For sure, they should show the data. Okay.
Today.
We have important witnesses here. This is a credible.
I'm asking a question about the
This is a credible investigation.
Inquiry. You will have 5 minutes whenever Jamie Raskins gives you, tells me it's your time to speak. Mr. Parnas, the chair recognizes you for equal time that Mr. Bobulinski had, which was 7 minutes.
God, it is like just wrangling fools. Okay, so it's Lev Parnas' turn, and just imagine the juxtaposition. Bobulinski's all over the place, like doesn't even make sense, and then this guy just starts saying, I mean,
if you have to keep convincing people that your investigation is a serious investigation, James Comer, maybe it's not that serious of an investigation.
From shortly after my arrest on October 9, 2019 to now, I have been trying to share the irrefutable truth with you. The American people have been lied to by Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and various cohorts of individuals in government and media positions. They created falsehoods to serve their own interests, knowing it would undermine the strength of our nation. From November 2018 to October 2019, I was a key participant and a witness to numerous efforts to prove that Joe and Hunter Biden were linked to corruption in Ukraine. Rudy Giuliani, on behalf of then President Donald Trump, tasked me with a mission to travel the globe, finding dirt on the Bidens so that an array of networks could spread misinformation about them, thus securing the 2020 election for Donald J. Trump. Ironically, when I was arrested, my original indictment linked me to an individual referred to as unindicted co-conspirator 1.
Rudy
We now know
Colludi.
this individual to be Congressman Pete Sessions, who sits on this very
Oh,
committee
it's Pete
today.
Sessions.
Today, I ask you to consider...
Wait, is he talking about the January 6th indictment? Is Pete
the-
Sessions?
The Pete, don't call me Jeff Sessions. Yeah.
But
that's the one.
unindicted co-conspirator 1 in you're saying in the January 6th indictment?
American Patriot number 1.
No, but I've read the January 6th indictment over and I don't know. I think, well, maybe he was
Maybe I'm
saying
not- am
and
I
Pete
not
Sessions.
answer-
It's not Pete Sessions.
Okay.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like, unindicted co-conspirator 1 in the... Oh, I just don't know what indictment. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm looking.
I want to hit... Wait, let me just replay it and see if he said and.
Linked me to an individual referred to as unindicted co-conspirator 1. We now know this individual to be Congressman Pete Sessions, who sits on this very committee today. Today, I ask you to consider the...
Or maybe he's talking about his own indictment. Because I don't... Yeah, maybe... I don't know what indictment he's talking about, so... But yeah, Pete Sessions, the best thing about this hearing is how many Congress people are being implicated. Ron Johnson had the worst ever yesterday. I can't... Oh, sorry, you're muted. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so I've got this. This is from Eric Lisnen, and he reported on this during the hearing yesterday. He said, awkward. Unindicted SDNY co-conspirator Pete Sessions, Republican from Texas, is sitting in judgment of his own actually indicted co-conspirator, Lev Parnas.
Oh, so
as he
it is that
considers
one.
judgment by impeachment of the man Joe Biden they together tried to frame. In this effort, unindicted co-conspirator Sessions was joined by Giuliani, also never charged by SDNY. Sessions and Giuliani did this in service to the personal political fortunes of Donald Trump, also an SDNY unindicted co-conspirator.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I'm going to read that indictment now. So that's insane. I didn't know that Pete Sessions, that's the point, is how many people in Congress are sitting there while tied up in this stuff. The amount of times Ron Johnson was exposed. Pete Sessions, like, this is scary. That's crazy. I'm going to read that indictment.
Wait, this keeps going, but SDNY did charge Trump's co-conspirator Michael Cohen and sent him to prison. And rather than finish prosecuting the illegal scheme in which Cohen was an enabler benefiting unindicted co-conspirator Trump, SDNY again stopped at the low-hanging fruit as they did with Parnas. For its piece de resistance, SDNY withheld 100,000 subpoenaed documents from the Manhattan DA, who's prosecuting Trump for the illegal scheme delineated in its prosecution of Cohen. Not a good look, but it did leave Pete Sessions free to serve on the House committee judging whether to impeach Biden, and did leave Trump to again be the Republican nominee for president for the third straight general election.
Will you send me, is that from X? Will you send that to me?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Awesome. Okay, that's amazing. I did not know that Pete Sessions, that is news to me. Yeah, Pete Sessions had a very bad day yesterday.
Following,
drop it
in
in
nearly a
Discord.
year traveling the world and interviewing officials in different countries, I found precisely zero evidence of the Biden's corruption in Ukraine. No credible source has ever provided proof of criminal activity, not the FBI, CIA, nor the NSA. No respectable Ukrainian official has ever said that the Bidens did anything illegal, including former President Poroshenko and former Prosecutor General Yuri Lutsenko. Even when CEO Burisma, Mykola Zlochevsky, was offered a deal by Rudy Giuliani in exchange for information on the Bidens, he provided none, because there is none. The only information ever pushed on the Bidens in Ukraine has come from one source, and one source only: Russia and Russian agents. The impeachment proceedings that bring us here now are predicated on false information spread by the Kremlin. Everyone involved knew they were sharing lies. From Trump and Giuliani's shadow diplomacy, through my missions to Ukraine and elsewhere, to members of a BLT team, a group convened for the sole purpose of investigating and damaging the Bidens.
There, it's done.
I was dying at what Gary Roller said there in the comments. And break Fox News feed. Like as soon as he started talking, like, we're out.
That is exactly when Fox News was like, just kidding, let's break to Jesse Waters.
Jesse, tell us what
the
he really
minute
meant.
he said it was all from Russia, and Maxwell Frostcott gets into it like deep, because there was another foreign relations committee hearing where they did the research, and this rumor goes all the way back. All of this stuff, the Burisma stuff, it's a rumor that that they traced back. The Foreign Relations Committee did to 2015 in Crimea occupied or Russian occupied Crimea, in a Russian language site. That's where this came from.
Super good source. I have some comments to read real quick. Just a reminder, that's our Cash App and Venmo. If you'd like to send a donation, we'll read whatever you say. Jackie says, what does a robot do after a one-night stand?
Charges?
Nuts and bolts.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, that is hilarious. That's really funny.
Thanks, Jackie. Tammy says, sorry. Thank you both for all you do. I wasn't ready for that.
Bolts. I know, I wasn't either. That was like surprisingly hilarious. That made my day.
Different Tammy, all you and Felice do with a blue heart. Thank you. Larry said,
Lair Bear.
hey, Felice, nice font.
See, people can't see it though. That confirms.
Ben says, so you can purchase some matching fonts. F. Mary Banish.
That's
Elon,
so mean. We're being trolled.
Elon, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates. Elon's going. He got to get out of here.
Wait, Elon, Jeff Bezos, Bill. Yeah. But then I'm like, I don't know. Like
this is easy, Felice. Let me tell you how easy this is.
Bill Gates is a weirdo, says Melinda Gates.
Okay, but here's the thing. You marry Bill Gates because you get access to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
I know, but he cheats on you the whole time with like his secretary. That's what happened to Melinda.
But you don't care because you don't want to him anyways. So you have a one-nighter with Jeff Bezos on the moon because he can take you there.
I still don't want to be cheated on.
One night on the moon?
Fine, that's true. I do. Well, are we going to the moon or are we just orbiting the Earth? Like, because that
I'll
matters.
do it if we land, but if we're just simply orbiting the Earth, pass.
Yeah. We're just hovering. Like, you have to do better.
Hey, what?
I would love to do that. I would totally go like one of those weird billionaire space flights. I would that's really cool. Okay, so this is just one more part.
How can you tell when an astronaut's done with sex?
Oh God, don't even.
Nuts and floats.
That would be, and that probably is in terms of physics, correct.
That's mine. I wrote that just then.
That's probably a good question about sex in space.
Oh no, we got more coming in.
I'm just saying, like,
oh no,
because really, when you think about that, like someone's probably had sex in space.
Felice? This is from Heather. What are the cheapest nuts to buy?
Oh my God, peanuts. I don't know. I suck at this.
No, deer nuts because they're just under $1. That's Labish. Thank you, Labish.
Because they're just under $1.
Yeah, thank you. I make sure I got them all. This is an enjoyable day. This is such an easy day. We just get to laugh at how dumb Republicans are. We don't even have to add that much context.
I
This
just have
is
to
a
not lose my place so far.
wonderful Thursday.
It is a good Thursday. I agree. I enjoy this. This hearing, you guys, was groundbreaking. Just know, like, the importance of finally getting Lev Parnas under oath, like on the congressional record. They were trying to get them to subpoena him for months, this entire time, and they were blocking it at every turn. So, like, this is long awaited. I mean, obviously, at any moment they could get Rudy Giuliani up there. Like, they obviously don't want the truth, but getting Lev Parnas under oath to say the truth is super important.
There's a clip that I'm just gonna like just to see if you have it, because I'm sure you do and you have it planned, but of Comer comparing the two witnesses versus the Democrats' witness. Did you get that clip?
Somewhere, and I know what
Okay,
you're
cool.
talking
We'll
about.
cover
Like,
it.
I think
Great.
it's probably in here somewhere, but it's
The only,
this is just the end of Lev Parnas's testimony.
the only information ever pushed on the Bidens in Ukraine has come from one source, and one source only: Russia and Russian agents. The impeachment proceedings that bring us here now are predicated on false information spread by the Kremlin. Everyone involved knew they were sharing lies. From Trump and Giuliani's shadow diplomacy, through my missions to Ukraine and elsewhere, to members of a Bill T team, a group convened for the sole purpose of investigating and damaging the Bidens. Everything was for the ultimate benefit of Donald Trump and thereby Vladimir Putin. Because the team's investigations were centered around Biden and Ukraine, I was designated the point person in every matter they pursued. That is how I know with certainty that these Biden stories are untrue then and are untrue now. Congressman Pete Sessions, then Congressman Devin Nunes, Senator Ron Johnson, and many others understood they were pushing a false narrative. The same goes for John Solomon, Sean Hannity, and media personnel, particularly at Fox News, who use this narrative to manipulate the public ahead of the 2020 elections. Sadly, they are still doing this today as we approach the 2024 elections. We cannot separate this conspiracy from the Russian-Ukraine war because Trump has no intention to keep aiding Ukraine. Without the support of the United States and NATO, millions in Ukraine will suffer and die. If we allow Russia to defeat Ukraine, eventually that suffering will reach American shores. Today, I admit my own wrongdoings. I have been a convicted federal election campaign and fraud crimes and served my sentence. I do not hide that from reality. It is part of my truth. Despite rigorous attempts by those in power to silence me, I will be silenced no longer. Thank you to the committee for allowing me to speak. I look forward to answering any and all of your questions.
I just think, like, I wanted to play that part because that's how you own your shit. Well, and call some people out. But, like, what he did there is stay completely calm. If you point out Tony Bobolinsky's lies or anything, call into question, like, hey, you're contradicting yourself, or other witnesses are contradicting you, he starts violently screaming. Like, Lev Parnas was there to calmly just say the truth. He never backed away from taking responsibility from his part in it. Like, it gave me hope.
Yeah, I think what adds credibility when you're somebody who, like, you have a criminal record and you're going to testify, like, don't get up there and say, like, oh, well, I was guilty, but, like, it was unfair. Don't do that. Like, he's not up there saying that any of the judgments against him were unfair. He's like, yeah, I did crimes. I've had to deal with that. I'm open about it. We can talk about it. Here's the people that I did the crimes with.
Here's the people that I did the crimes with. Pete Sessions, Sean Hannity, and Senator Ron Johnson, Devin Nunes, who's now the CEO of Truth Social, by the way. Like, these people all have a financial stake in Trump's success.
Imagine being a conservative today, and you have to defend this. Let's say you're hosting your own live, and you have to be the party where you're looking at this situation. You're looking at a psychopath and a criminal who can't prove any of their accusations, and then you have Lev Parnas, who not only is saying, like, I can prove the accusations, and also somebody else already proved the accusations, which is why I went to jail. But here's the people that I did this with, and here's what they did specifically. And those people that he keeps naming are also dodging congressional subpoenas and then you guys are like two-tiered justice system. Like some of the people that helped commit this crime are up there on the stage questioning Lev Parnas, and he knows that. They were Jim Jordan. He was in on it. Andy Biggs, he was in on it. They have congressional subpoenas that they're ignoring. I got two-tiered justice system. The people that like the criminals are trying the case
in the room.
Yeah, and they're the ones like trying the case. All right.
It's unbelievable. And Lev Parnas, like, did you see when he called out Matt Gaetz and he's like, you haven't asked me one question. None of you have asked me a question. Like, because he knows that they don't want him saying one more word than the questions he was already being asked by the Democrats because of how damaging it was.
Be very clear.
Yeah, if you're there to prove your case and your case is so strong, the best thing you can do is discredit the other side's witness.
Why not talk to him and be like, you're lying. I know you're lying. Because he wasn't lying. They all ignored him.
That's not how you prove a case. You don't prove a case by lobbing softballs at your own witnesses. It's not how you're going to win a case. Like, especially even in the court of public opinion. But you have some Republicans coming from Biden districts. Can they really, like, after this hearing, can they go back to their constituents and be like, hey, well, the evidence was overwhelming? No, like, they can't. So this is something like Republicans, if they cared about the truth at all, if this wasn't just a publicity stunt, they would be going after Parnas. And if Parnas held up to scrutiny, they would be like, all right, well, I guess we were wrong. But they're not even willing to go down that road. They won't even try and tear apart what Lev Parnas is saying because they're like, oh, it'll be damaging to us. And again, they're not attorneys. This is not supposed to be like prosecution and defense. It's about trying to decide. Congress's job is to decide if our president committed high crimes and misdemeanors, and we're 15 months in, and they still can't even point to a crime. And that's the point of all of this. Is like they're not acting in their role as people who are supposed to hold the president accountable. They're just acting as like campaign managers for Donald Trump.
Facts. Okay, so this is
for the record, be very clear that in Mr. Obolinski.
This is Robert Garcia, right? Who I love, the one that's always blowing up Marjorie's tweets every hearing because they're in alphabetical order next to each other.
For the record, be very clear that in Mr. Obolinski's testimony, he has provided zero evidence of any sort of link between Hunter Biden and the president as far as it relates to the business dealings. And so once again, we're back to a hearing where no evidence is being provided of any sort of wrongdoing by the president. But I want to go back.
That's
Mr. Bobulinski. Actually, it's my time, sir. Mr. Bobulinski, I want to...
This is where it starts. Bobulinski and the never-ending interruptions, because people are just pointing out constantly that he's a liar, and he can't take it. Like, he just loses his mind. So this is Robert Garcia.
Mr. Bobulinski, I want to go back to the private deposition that we had. I was one of a handful of Democrats in that private, on the record, under oath conversation we had. And during that deposition, I asked you a question of which you gave a false answer to, and I want to go back to that. I asked you specifically who got you into the presidential debate that was attended by you and others, and that, of course, was a huge moment in that campaign, and you could not recall. In fact, you said, quote, I do not recall who got me into the debate. Do you remember telling me that, sir?
You were playing semantics, trying to ask me as if somebody called me directly and gave me a ticket, like
sir,
I to a movie.
Sir, I asked you. Let me. I asked you.
Hold up.
I'm going to
What?
reclaim my time, sir.
He said you were trying to play
bless him. He
semantics
doesn't
and
know.
ask
He
me
doesn't
like
know.
who gave me a ticket, like at a movie theater.
That's not
No,
semantics.
he didn't say any of that. You bloated potato.
Bobulinski can't. He was out of his depth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't even know. Like, he was so defensive.
To ask me as if somebody called me directly and gave me a ticket, like
Sir,
I'm going to a movie.
I asked you. Let me. I asked
told you
I'm
that
going to reclaim my time,
lawyer
sir.
ordered-
I'm going to reclaim my time. What I said was.
Just ask me a question, Mr.
I'm reclaiming my time. Thank you, sir. Actually, what I asked you was, do you recall who actually got you into the presidential debate? You actually said, quote, I do not recall who got me into the debate. You did not remember who got you into the debate between President Biden and between Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
That's not a true statement.
Sir, you quoted, I don't recall who got me into the debate. It's on page 102 of the transcript.
You did not
Sir,
ask me
I asked
whether
you
I
that
was
question.
a guest of Mr.
Thank you.
Biden
I'll
or
reclaim
a
my
guest-
time. I'm not asking you a question right now. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, here, as was shown by Ranking Member Raskin, we know that you were in the debate actually sitting adjacent and next to Trump officials. When we were confronted again
on this same question.
He was sitting by Mark Meadows and Jason, what is it?
Miller.
Miller, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Bobulinski, if you were a guest of Mr. Trump's at the debate, you responded and you quoted, once the Wall Street Journal called you out, quote, is the Wall Street Journal God or something? Like you act like this is some encyclopedia of fact. And you refuse to still confirm that you were a guest of Donald Trump. So I want to ask you one more time, sir. Were you a guest of Donald Trump at the presidential debate?
Mr. Garcia, those were not the questions you asked me in my transcribed interview.
He's reading the transcript of the transcribed interview.
Wow.
You were trying
were you,
to ask
answer the question, sir. Were you a guest of Donald Trump?
Of Donald Trump at the gate, or at the debate.
You were.
That was obvious to everyone in the world at that point.
Oh, it's interesting.
You were asking me semantic.
Thank you, sir. So you were a guest? That you answered the question. Because at the time you said in the transcript, under oath, I don't recall who got me to the debate. So just to be clear. So
boom.
He was playing 4D chess. What he said is, I don't recall, because it was obvious to everybody in the world that he was President
That's
Trump's
what he
guest.
meant.
So that's why he kept saying, I don't recall and I don't remember, because it was obvious. And he didn't want to give the obvious answer. He wanted us to do our own research. That's what he wanted, which is exactly, by the way,
Teaching
what
moment.
Republicans are going to do. They're going to be like, they're going to go back and they're going to hear this testimony. If you bring it to them, they're literally going to use that. They're going to be, yeah, well, it was obvious. Nobody disputes that. Well, he disputed it, and it goes to
For a
show that
long
like he lies
time,
about
he
everything.
disputed it.
And why? There was not even a reason. The
Yeah,
only
there was no
he
reason.
the reason he disputed that is because he was afraid that people were going to realize he was biased to Trump, right? So he lied about that because he didn't want his testimony to be smeared by his obvious biases, right? Or at least cast
You're
a
saying,
shadow.
and he said I'm not political several times. Okay, I am political. I've never been to a debate like in person. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
Like that's the most political action you could take, accepting an invitation from a possible presidential candidate to a debate.
And he was a guest at a rally, and he was like a VIP
yes,
guest
at
at a
rallies
Trump rally.
too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where
was.
he had his great Kohl's outfit on.
Yeah, 100%. So listen, Robert Garcia continues. This is hilarious because the more you push back on Tony, the angrier this man gets.
claims that you made numerous claims and allegations. You've made them today. You've made them before. And yet, even though you're not a political person, this is also another photo of you. You actually chose to show up at a press conference for Donald Trump prior to the debate because you're not a political person. Did you show up to a press conference for Donald Trump?
You get the fucking red carpet before.
I can't qualify whether it was for Donald Trump.
What?
Do you know who invited you? Sir, who invited you to the debate? Donald Trump, you said. Who invited you to the press conference?
Who invited me? My lawyers coordinated things, and I showed up at a.
Well, sir, I will tell you, it was Jason Miller, who it's been very clear, it's been reported, who actually worked on the part of the Donald Trump campaign. Here you are at a Donald Trump press conference, and you can't remember how you got to the press conference. You refuse to answer how you actually got into the Donald Trump debate with Joe Biden. Do you remember speaking at the press conference?
I do very clearly.
You do. Do you know who Jason Miller is, sir?
I do know of him, yes.
Do you know that he was a Trump campaign staffer?
Mr. Garcia, you keep asking me semantical questions. You underestimate that I had 3 lawyers around me.
These questions with words are semantics.
My travel, where I was going, and
Well,
stuff
sir,
like that.
interesting.
Please stop.
Well, I'll reclaim my time. Thank you very much.
Please
It's
stop.
interesting, sir, because
Please
you show up
stop.
to a pre-debate press conference. You show up to a presidential debate, both invited to by a person running for the presidency of the United States. You know the stakes are high, yet you have no idea how you got to the press conference. You don't remember how you got to the debate. And here you are speaking at a press conference of which the national media, so how did you get to this press
I
conference?
flew on a plane.
Who invited you?
Are we going in circles?
Sir, who invited you to the press conference?
My lawyers told me I was invited to come to Tennessee. At that point, I was trying to get the truth and the facts out to the American people. At that moment in time, if I recall, I believe 80 million people watched that debate. And that was probably the
Thank you, sir. I reclaim my time.
You know,
With that, I think it's very clear
flexing?
for someone that can't remember how he got to a Donald Trump press conference or a Donald Trump debate. You're completely an uncredible witness, sir. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlemen,
You're completely incredible.
Uncredible, but also incredible. I want to say he is an incredible witness. Maybe not for the reasons
Unbelievable
that
and
he wants to be.
incredible and uncredible. All the credible, all of those. He's all of those things.
With all due respect to a person who I do like, and I do root for their success, he uses words incorrectly a lot, like HVAC. He just keeps, like, anything that he doesn't like, he's like, that's semantics. I think he thinks semantics is either something he doesn't
says
understand or
semantical.
doesn't like.
He doesn't even say semantics. He goes, that's semantical. It's like, what? I don't know. Someone just told him to say that word when he felt cornered, because he does say that a lot, and he definitely is misunderstanding, like, what the meaning is. And okay,
please,
so go ahead.
Rich has a question for you.
Yes.
What do
Rich.
clouds wear beneath their pants?
What is it?
Thunderwear.
Thunderwear. That's hilarious. Thunderwear. I could listen to corny jokes all day. It's like therapy.
By the way, did you get the hail like 2 days ago? Did you have hail?
Yes,
in your house?
yes.
That was wild, right?
But it was small.
Marble. We had like
Yeah,
marble size.
yeah.
Send
It
you the
wasn't.
video.
Well, because one time I'm not like in Idaho, there was huge hail. Yeah, it was like small. I was like, it's snowing. It was
we
not.
had Christmas 2
It
days
was
ago.
not snowing. I thought it was briefly. Okay, now back to the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee.
Biden family made at least 1.1 million from.
Oh yeah, now I remember why I wanted to play this clip. So notice when they start saying the Biden family, that what they're actually confessing to is they have no direct evidence, right, linking Joe Biden to this. Hi Josh, welcome, just in time.
Biden family made at least 1.1 million from their business with China, including $100,000 in payment for CFC, China Energy, and a $1 million payment in exchange for legal services that were never provided to a CFC official, Patrick Ho. Mr. Bobulinski, do you know whether the Biden family made any money from China?
They did millions of dollars. I think approximately 8 to 9 million.
The Biden family has made millions of dollars from China, correct?
Correct.
And you said at least
It's
9
so
million?
stupid.
Yeah, I think it's actually over 10 million, but
I just said 8 or 9, even though
He said,
that's
I'll
not what
leave the exact numbers up to you guys. Yeah, do, Tony, do.
How much was
do
it?
that.
It was 8 or 9 million. Okay, so it was 8 or 9 million. Actually, it was 10. I tricked you. I told you 8 or 9 so that you'd be like 8 or 9. I'd be like, no, actually, it's 10. Served. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Is it gonna be 11? Just give us the real number. Now who's playing semantics, you bitch? Now who's playing semantics? You. I don't like when he plays semantics.
Oh, I know, for real. He really does play semantics. But that's the point. When they say the Biden family, and the real truth, like the weird false narrative they have, it's not the Biden family just even, right? It's the Biden family and associates. Because really, this all has to do with Devin Archer.
Well, if you had, it's the crime family. It's the real family.
Oh,
and then
yes,
those
yes.
involved.
Excuse me.
The
That's
crime
what I
family,
meant to
yeah.
say. So it's not necessarily just DNA,
Correct.
familial DNA.
Which is nice, because what you can do here is you can just try and like collect anybody who got money from China who has like met Joe Biden before. You can just include them in the China crime family. It's a really good way.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
my point is. It's just people that may have had one conversation. These aren't even people they did business deals with. Like, that's like Bobulinski. He never did business with them. It fell through. Like, they never did business together. Okay, so then now we're back to Giuliani, Raskin on Giuliani.
Today I ask you to consider the following. In nearly a year traveling the world and interviewing officials in different countries, I found precisely zero evidence of the Biden's corruption in Ukraine. No credible source has ever provided proof of criminal activity, not the FBI, CIA, nor the NSA. No respectable Ukrainian official has ever said that the Biden did anything illegal, including former President Poroshenko and former Prosecutor General Yuri Lutsenko. Even when CEO Burisma, Mykola Zlochevsky, was offered a deal by Rudy Giuliani in exchange for information on the Bidens, he provided none, because there is none. The only information ever pushed on the Bidens in Ukraine has come from one source, and one source only: Russia and Russian agents.
Oh, no. Russia.
The impeachment proceedings that bring us here now are predicated on false
I
information.
feel like I already played this clip, and now I'm playing the wrong one.
Hey,
I definitely... Sorry. Oh,
I
never
don't.
mind.
Yeah, I don't know if I heard that
I
before or
found.
not.
Yeah,
But
we definitely did. I just played something twice.
I just want to point out, Josh, that what you're doing right now is getting really, really triggered.
What is he doing?
Well, he keeps saying things like, "The Democrats are corrupt. Where's Hunter?" Josh, what you could do, instead of listening with emotional reactions, you could just listen to what the people are saying in the hearing and draw your own conclusions. But it does kind of seem
can't do that.
It does kind of seem like you came into this live with an idea that everything the Democrats do is bad, so you'll never believe it. And it does appear in the comments that you might not be as open-minded as you pretend to be. But maybe we just make a little change together, and we listen to these hearings together, and we decide, like, what's good evidence, Josh? What is there? Is there quality evidence to back this up, or is the only evidence to back this up like hearsay? Maybe we look at the evidence that way, Josh. What do you say? What do you say? Thought he was coming to the herring? Take care of the herrings while you're at it, Josh. The geese and the herring.
Yeah, and he denied weeks before his lawyers did in written form. Like, they knew he was not coming. Comer just continued to pretend like maybe he would. What Comer did is, instead of admitting, his lawyers told us in writing immediately he wasn't coming. They said, well, sometimes Hunter Biden shows up to Capitol Hill uninvited, so we just expect him to be there. That's what they said. That's disingenuous. They're misleading you, Josh.
Yeah, it was, it's interesting that Hunter Biden's like, give me a public hearing. And they're like, no, we have to do it behind closed doors. He's like, I don't want to, but fine, I'll do it. And then he did it. And they're like, now we need it in public. He's like, I thought I offered that. Like, you have both ways now?
Let me just tell you. So now Josh is saying Hunter Biden's corrupt. So let me understand what Hunter Biden did do when he showed up, that behind closed door deposition. Everyone didn't just have 5 minutes. Everyone had an unlimited amount of time to ask any question they wanted to ask. So just understand that it wasn't even the 5-minute time limits are for like publicly televised hearings. That deposition, anyone could ask Hunter Biden any question they wanted to ask, and he answered it. And you can at any point read that transcript.
Your involvement with the real Russian hoax about Joe Biden began in 2018 when, as a big donor and a big supporter of Donald Trump's, you were introduced to Rudy Giuliani, and you began working with him to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, Ukraine. If you can just tell us quickly how you got involved in that.
Yes, I was a donor at the time. I became doing business with Rudy Giuliani. He got involved in a business I was doing called Fraud Guarantee. And in the midst, we started spending a lot of time together until eventually in November of 2018, he approached me and asked me about my connections in Ukraine. After telling him about people that I knew and things that I heard, at that point, then he wanted me to go to Ukraine to find Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor general.
And basically, he wanted to go from his fraud guarantee to guaranteeing a fraud on the American people. But after turning over every stone and going down every rabbit hole, including interviewing Viktor Shokin and Zlochevsky, the owner of Burisma, did you ever find the smoking gun or any evidence that Donald Trump was looking for to paste on Joe Biden?
On the contrary, Representative Raskin, not only do we keep hitting dead walls and not finding the smoking gun, but we kept running into sources of the information that was coming out of Russia.
In fact,
Did you want to say something, Jay?
Yeah, I want to point out that at the beginning of that, there was a little bit of irony, and he's talking about Rudy working with him with a company called Fraud Guarantee. You heard that correct. It's Fraud Guarantee.
That's Raskin talking to Lev Parnas. That's who was asking about it.
Now, Lev Parnas went to jail for, campaign finance, wire fraud, and false statements offenses. What Lev Parnas did, and remember, Rudy Giuliani wanted to work with this company. You're wondering, why does Fraud Guarantee matter? Well, he was funneling Russian money through Fraud Guarantee to donate to Donald Trump. He was the conduit here. They needed a way to get Russian money to Donald Trump, and it was through Fraud Guarantee. So when he implicates Rudy Giuliani, he's saying like, oh yeah, Rudy was in on this too. And of course, Donald Trump is implicated. The money is going to him. It's going to his campaign. So just to be clear, that's the business that we're talking about.
So when people try to be like, well, Lev Parnas is a criminal, yes, and he owns it, but he's another one who went to jail for Donald Trump. Oh, no.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
From Labish, what do you call a factory that makes okay products?
What?
A satisfactory.
Satisfactory. Get it?
That's beautiful.
I love a play on words. Like, don't test me. I would yes to puns.
Yeah, all the puns. Well done. Well done, Labish.
Zlochevsky, the owner of Burisma.
Oh wait, let me.
Not
Sorry,
only do we keep hitting dead walls and not finding
I lost my place, so I'm just fast forwarding.
To oppose corruption and to go after the corrupt forces in Ukraine. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
At what point did the campaign to dig up dirt on Biden become a campaign to spread disinformation and lies about Biden?
Oh, this is the part.
At some point, when we hit a few brick walls, all of a sudden, then I saw the shift between the BLT group, which included John Solomon, the media personality, and Rudy Giuliani and other Trump lawyers, to start trying to push narratives that that weren't validated. We had no way to validate them. Basically, a letter would come over from somebody in Ukraine. I'd hand it over to John Solomon. Next thing you knew, he was on Fox TV 2 hours later with Sean Hannity.
It's crazy.
You guys, yeah,
It's crazy.
understand.
I mean, is everyone hearing what?
The sole evidence for things that Sean Hannity was saying were a letter from somewhere in Ukraine, and it would come in through them, and then they would just hand deliver it to Hannity. So Hannity is guilty of either one of two things.
No, to John
either,
Solomon would give it to Hannity. It's just crazy.
Either Sean Hannity is guilty of just lying on purpose or putting out information that wasn't vetted on purpose or trusting the wrong person. Either way, like disinformation, lies got spread on Fox News every single night, and it was they just weren't checking it. Fox News, nobody should ever consider Fox News a news source. Like, and I'm not saying that they don't sometimes tell the truth. I'm saying, for me, why would I watch that? Why would I watch that if I know like that's what they're doing? And we saw the Dominion lawsuit. We know what they say behind the scenes. Like, it's one thing to get caught being wrong. It's one thing to have a host like get caught lying. It's another thing entirely to know the source of their information and know the source is enemies of the United States, and then to be like, well, everybody does it. Like CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, nobody else has been accused of this. There's no evidence that anybody else has done things like this. Like, none.
And he says that at one point in the hearing. Actually, Lev Parnas actually says that. He says, we tried to give it to everyone. Like, but like MSNBC, and they wouldn't take it. Because, in real journalism, you have to be able to have, like, verify it through external sources. And they couldn't.
So don't let anybody whataboutism out of this one. Because this has never happened in American history, ever, that we know of. I mean, it may have happened, but don't let anybody whataboutism and be like, well, CNN told a lie once. This is completely different. This is literally just taking propaganda from our enemies as a source.
Yes, facts. Preach.
Trying to push narratives that weren't validated. We had no way to validate them. Basically, a letter would come over from somebody in Ukraine. I'd hand it over to John Solomon. Next thing you knew, he was on Fox TV 2 hours later with Sean Hannity.
At what point did Mr. Giuliani begin working directly with Russian agents and Russian assets, individuals who would later become sanctioned by Donald Trump's own Treasury Department for spreading propaganda and disinformation against Joe Biden?
It was sometime in probably around May, June of 2019.
Were you aware, was Mr. Giuliani aware that these people were basically just doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin?
Absolutely.
So he had no hesitation about spreading lies that were concocted by Russian agents?
As long as it fit the narrative, absolutely not.
How were you and Giuliani able to take these false allegations peddled by corrupt officials and Russian agents and promote and amplify them here in the United States, in our political system? Weren't media groups skeptical of your claims?
Most media groups, I'd probably say all except for Fox and a few other right-wing media groups, didn't want to take any of the information, and that aggravated Rudy Giuliani and John Solomon and other players. And the main group that was being pushed through was Fox, Sean Hannity, and some other media personnel over there. But then there was also other people that were doing the bidding for the Russian people in Congress, like Senator Ron Johnson, like Congressman Pete Sessions that sits here right now.
That sits here right
the very
now.
beginning of this journey into finding up digging dirt on Joe Biden.
That sits here right now and was with me from the very beginning of this journey, digging up dirt on Joe Biden. This is our 118th Congress.
That is a brutal, brutal call out. And just to recap, what we have here is we have...
Just to recap.
Yeah. We have somebody who has the documents, who has the evidence that they need to back up at least most of their claims. But if this isn't true, if they weren't just hand feeding stories to Sean Hannity, then this will be very easy for Sean Hannity to go back in his emails and show who did give him that information, or his research team to pull like documents from those days, like from the day they did those stories. They'd be able to find news sources or news stories, or they would be able to show where they got this information, right? Because Hannity wouldn't just go on and talk about something he had never heard about before. Somebody must have told him. So if Hannity isn't doing exactly what Lev Parnas is saying, this should be the easiest thing in the world. That Hannity should host a show tonight or tomorrow and be like, hey, look, here's all the proof that what Lev Parnas is saying isn't true. That's all you need to do, Republicans. This would be super simple. And Hannity loves Trump. He believes in Trump. Why wouldn't he host that tonight? What if this isn't Sean Hannity's show tonight? I don't know what he's doing.
It's an admission of guilt. It's exactly right. Imagine if somebody's saying this outrage and just ignoring it. And if you're doing the right thing, you have the proof to prove otherwise, to discredit this man. They were terrified that he would name them. You know what I mean? Like, they just were like, hopefully this is over as soon as possible, and he doesn't name anyone besides Pete Sessions and Ron Johnson. Like, this was the craziest hearing I've ever seen.
In my several years living through this extraordinary period of American...
Oh yes, and this is so good.
In my several years living through...
That's Jamie Raskin.
In my several years living through this extraordinary period of American history, I've tried to ask people like Michael Cohen and Cassidy Hutchinson. I've wondered about people like General Milley, General Kelly. Why did you break with all of the deceit and corruption and lies of Donald Trump? How did you get out of that culture?
I mean, it was very difficult. I actually had to hit a brick wall myself and get arrested, and to be able to get out of that cult. Because when you're in that cult, when you're around them, you have blinders on, and you're only able to see a certain amount of information. You're only able to hear the certain amount of information. You're not allowed to go out of the circle. And if you go outside of the circle, then you're not in the circle. So eventually you brainwash yourself to believing certain things that are not true. When I was arrested and had some time to reflect and really understand what was going on, I started realizing, looking back and thinking back to moments in time where I started thinking myself that this can't be true, and we're doing something wrong.
Well, thank you for...
That's crazy. Like...
The thing that sucks about like hearing this is that story is not impactful to anybody on the right, because in order to like
when you're inside it, you can't.
Yeah, in order to leave a cult, you have to recognize it as one, and that's that's really, really hard to do in bits. Like a lot of people, like when they deconstruct their faith, they call it like their shelf breaking moment, like something that finally broke the shelf of their faith. Like they had kept putting things on the shelf, and then the weight got too heavy and it broke. Like you have to get to a point where Lev Parnas is, where there's no longer any incentive for you to keep believing things. And then like once that incentive is removed, like you can see more clearly. I don't think it's any coincidence that when I lost my faith, like I shifted pretty quickly to the left. Like once I stopped believing that like I had the answers despite the evidence, which I had been conditioned to do, and once I said like I have to rely just only on evidence now so I don't get tricked into a cult again, like I moved left so quickly. Like I just looked at the evidence of everything. It's like, okay, left, and I just kept going left. It's pretty obvious.
When you start looking at evidence and that's how you make your decisions, like through rationale and logic, it's easy to end up far on the left. Once blind faith is no longer an option, like in your in your repertoire, yeah, the only place you end up is left. Okay,
So when
these
when people ask us like why we keep talking to some of the same people who it seems they're never going to change, like maybe, but what we want to add stuff to the shelf. We want to add stuff that at the very least they have to be like, shit, I don't have an answer for that. Like those kind of conversations eventually do some good because that's what happened to me. I had shelved a lot of stuff, and then one big thing happened, and I realized that everything I had shelved, I shelved because I knew I was wrong. I just couldn't admit it to myself. I couldn't admit that I was wrong about that. So I was just like, I'll figure it out later. I'll figure out why I'm right later, but I'm not going to worry about it right now.
yeah.
And that's what we kind of hope to do sometimes. If people are listening and we don't want to hate them, and we want to just add things to their shelf. Let's talk about things that they can't explain.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, and it's like just like I can't change anyone's mind. Like only an individual can change their own mind, but you can cast doubt. You can say something that people can't explain, right? So I definitely agree. That's a great metaphor. So these are great. So this is actually a newcomer. I mean, not new to the Oversight and Accountability team, but Representative Lynch. Listen to him. He was like, there were a lot of Democrats who aren't usually so angry, but were just fed up with what was going on. Listen to this guy just lose his mind.
It's like the guy. It's
Chairman, I want to make an observation here. I've been on this committee, this investigating committee, for over 20 years. And as an attorney before that, I've had sufficient training and experience to say that with high confidence that when you review the entire record of evidence of these hearings going back over a year, you've actually provided more evidence to impeach Donald Trump for a third time than you have in so much as laying a glove on President Biden. We keep on hearing about the Biden
Facts.
family. When you hear someone say the Biden family, that translates into we have no evidence on the president, so we're going to use the Biden family to try to implicate President Biden. But by the constant bumbling and continually shifting arguments here, you've done nothing more than exonerate President Biden.
I mean, it's true. That guy has been on the Oversight and Accountability Committee for 20 years, he said. He's never experienced any incompetence like this. He's like, what's happened? And this is so true. This is why I shifted. At first, I was outraged by the Twitter hearing. And then I realized, okay, the Oversight and Accountability Democrats are going to use this as an opportunity to get the facts about Trump on the congressional record. That's what I changed my mind. We're like, oh, okay, they're building a tranche of evidence against him.
Well, I think it took time too for both of us to trust Congress, right? To trust the Democratic Congress, right? Because I think for me, when these hearings come up, these insane hearings, it's just like, oh fuck, I hope that they are prepared for this hearing. Like, I hope that they know the tricks the Republicans are going to play. I hope they have sufficient evidence, because the worst thing that could happen is, like we've looked, like, is that the Republicans win the hearing without the facts, right? Let's just say in this case. So I think that's been my concern, but we have a very, very, very educated and very, very meticulous Democratic Congress. We're very fortunate for the
You
people
did
that
it
we actually
again.
have. Yeah,
Nice
two in a
job.
row.
This is great. This is like, I feel like this might be my greatest accomplishment.
It might be mine also. We might have like.
I feel the most proud of this one.
Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. That's terrific. Anyways, that's the main thing. Like, going into these hearings now, it's different because I'm like, I know who's going to get the better of this case. I know who's going to argue this case better. I know who's going to win this hearing. It's always the Democrats. Like, the Republicans, and it's not just because the Democrats have all the best information. It's also because Republicans don't have very many smart people. And the few that they do have that are like really good in hearings are like up on trafficking charges too. So they're kind of laying low right now. So they can't even bring their best out. Their best is like 2 people, and they can't roll them out.
Oh, and we'll get to Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz tried it, but yeah, like, he tried to talk about Lev Parnas committing fraud, which is hilarious, right? Because of his trafficking. And people were pointing it out. Matt Gaetz, not the best hearing for Matt Gaetz. Like, when you yourself are under investigation, do not start yelling about other people's investigations. Okay, so Lynch, this guy, Representative Lynch, hold on, there's one more really good moment he had.
We're reaching out to witnesses who have been convicted and sentenced to prison for stealing $80 million from the pensions of innocent workers. We can't get any lower at this point. That's your star witness. I want to remind people he's sitting in prison. That's why he can't be here today. He's sitting in prison for scamming workers' pensions. I mean, how low can you get? Then it's the Republicans' idea that this is the best guy they can get to testify against the president. This is the best guy they can get. A guy sitting in prison who can't even be here. Mr. Parnas, you've...
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Is that
Sometimes the best, most effective thing is just to state the obvious. Like, this man is sitting, if that's, his name's Representative Lynch. I'm not sure what his first name is, because I've never heard him get angry before. Like, that.
I don't know that I've heard
people
him.
are just, yeah, he said he's been on he's also a lawyer. He's been on Oversight and Accountability Committee for 20 plus years. I just think, like, everyone's had it. Like,
is this the one where Comer tried to, like, clap back at him? And
that
go
was
after
41
Parnas
on the
as
outline, by the way.
As the witness? Is this?
I think so. Let me just play. I'm not. I probably, because Comer kept inserting himself.
I'd like to.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. This is the one which we can all. I have this article too. This is hilarious. Comer. This is an unforced error. Unforced error from James Comer.
Swing. They tried to walk him. They tried to walk him, and he swung at it anyways.
Didn't have to happen, James.
Without objection, I'd like to enter into the record the entire transcribed interview of Tony Bobulinski.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter for the record an article from today's Daily Beast entitled "Texts Reveal More Russia Ties for Key Anti-Biden Witness Bobulinski."
Okay.
That was Raskin. So they're
just waited for him to introduce it.
They were waiting. They were literally sitting there waiting. They were like, the first time Comer tries to enter some evidence into the record, I'm immediately going. Yesterday morning, before this hearing started, and it's on the outline, so we can put it in the Discord. It's number 10 on the outline. The Daily Beast article came out yesterday morning. Texts reveal more Russia ties for key anti-Biden witness Bobulinski. Like, they buried him. Like, they're still churning out evidence. Like, the really good investigative reporters, like it's Sollenberg at the Daily Beast that is so good at financial crimes and stuff. I believe he wrote this article. But yeah, I highly recommend it. And well, I'll read more. I didn't read any articles last night. I didn't finish this one, so maybe we'll discuss it tomorrow. But yeah, that was Raskin, basically. James Comer tried, what that was about was a moment where they were quoting Bobulinski's testimony to just another time say he perjured himself in the closed door hearing. And James Comer's like, you didn't submit his whole testimony. So he's holding up like pages and pages, and he's like, I'm submitting this whole testimony as evidence. And Raskin's like, I'd like to submit this article that was released this morning saying that Tony Bobulinski is a Russian operative.
And even if he wasn't, he's clearly a Trump operative, somebody who's like in the Trump realm, and nothing, like, he was a failed business partner of Hunter Biden. They like tried to do a deal together and it didn't work out, and they never worked together again. Like, this is like the linchpin to the case here. This is the guy that's proving your case with screenshots from a BlackBerry who one time almost did a business deal with Hunter Biden, and this one time almost, like, do you guys think, is that the story, that Hunter Biden was so careless with telling people that he was running these schemes to benefit his dad, that he told like a almost business partner? He just was that loose with it?
Yeah, exactly. And then here, listen, Bobulinski himself, like, the Republicans were asking questions that even Bobulinski was just like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, oh yeah, I think a Republican actually asked Bobulinski, like, oh, what about like the projection of it all? They're like, what about Biden? Like, do you know anything about him accepting bribes for pardons or something?
Yeah.
You know, like what Trump was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, and even Bobulinski's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. If Tony Bobulinski isn't willing to just make up a lie on site for you, like, you know it's really not true.
Mr. Bobulinski or Mr. Galinas, have either of you heard of any offer of a pardon for anyone involved or associated with or a partner to the Biden family enterprise corruption investigation?
I'm sorry, there was a question. Have I
Have
heard
you
anything?
heard of anyone being suggested that a pardon might be in order for anyone associated with this enterprise?
I have not.
Thank you, Mr. Bobulinski. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yield back.
He's like, absolutely not. What are you talking about?
He looked at his aide after that, like, what the fuck was that? Why, that's my question? That's my one question I get to ask? Thanks.
I know, that was a really bad question. Oh, and
you should know the answer beforehand, before you ask a question that you think you're going to get. He got clipped for it for sure, not for the right reasons.
Okay, sorry. I'm just trying to keep up with what I'm doing.
You observed
Make sure
back
I'm
in
up
2020.
on comments. Once again, guys, if you want to, we are taking and consistently taking Cash App and Venmo donations. That's how we fund ourselves.
Tap
if
the screen.
you would like to send a donation, that would be terrific. And also, if you'd like to send a joke with that donation, that would be even better.
Or an F. Mary Banish of 3 politicians or whatever.
Or compliments about
just random
Felice.
information.
Felice loves compliments. So if
Stop.
I have to read
Make Jay
compliments
uncomfortable.
out
Let's see
about
how
Felice, she will
uncomfortable
really,
Jay can be made.
Really, really like it.
Yeah.
Felice loves
I
compliments.
take compliments. So do you. So do you. You look like you want to crawl out of your skin suit.
This is
Whatever
called
someone
projecting
says
by
something
me.
nice about you.
You observed back in 2023 in a letter you sent to Chairman Comer that there were flagrant examples of Giuliani interfering in Ukrainian politics, unquote. Why would Giuliani be interfering in another country's politics?
Oh, yeah, this is crazy.
I mean, Giuliani would do and say whatever he needed for the purpose of getting the information he wanted to secure Donald Trump 2020 election. So just a prime example of one of the things he did. He had a close relationship with then a boxer, Vladimir Klitschko, who was then the mayor in Ukraine. When the new president came over, there was rumors about maybe him not staying in office as mayor of Ukraine. Klitschko flew to New York, met with Rudy Giuliani, and then on a meeting that we had with Andrei Yermak in Spain that was relevant, had to do with President Zelensky announcing an investigation into Joe and Hunter Biden. At that meeting, he also brought up the Klitschko situation and basically told Yermak that if Zelensky got rid of Klitschko, President Trump and the American people would be very upset about that because we love him and he needs to be in there.
So was Giuliani just doing this as a rogue on his own because he was a patriotic American who loved Donald Trump, or had somebody encouraged him to engage in this kind of political interference in another country?
I mean, I think he was encouraged by Donald Trump.
Personally?
Personally, yes.
That's your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Connolly. Jerry Connolly is the best. Thank you. Like, he is visibly just like, I mean, do you hear what he just said? Rudy Giuliani is acting as an unregistered foreign agent.
Clearly.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Basically keeping Zelensky from getting rid of Klitschko? Like, what is going on? I mean, this was the craziest hearing.
I just liked the end. Anytime it ends, thank you. Like, he was so
I
happy to
love
get
Connolly.
that answer.
Oh, it gets better. Listen to this. This is another Connolly. Connolly was just like, this is his Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, he's the ranking member on the Judiciary Committee. Like, he has to go after Jim Jordan all the time. Like, he can't take it.
In your letter, you also said that Mr. Giuliani was to, quote, deliver a precise message in very strict words, unquote, with respect to the administration of the then newly installed president of Ukraine, President Zelensky. What did you understand a very strict message, or a message of very strict words construed, and what was that message that you delivered that was in very strict words?
Yes, Congressman. He basically told me not to be nice, to be very stern, and relay the message that unless Zelensky announced an investigation into the Bidens by Monday, this was Sunday, that there would be no cooperation, no aid to Ukraine from the United States, and the Vice President Pence at the time that was scheduled to appear for the inauguration would not appear to the inauguration.
That would seem to corroborate
that very famous and beautiful telephone conversation between President Trump then and President Zelensky, basically saying, but I need a favor, and hinting that there'd be withholding of military aid until that favor was delivered. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. I was a part of setting up that phone call. That famous phone call that Trump had with Zelensky.
I think your testimony is very important, Mr. Parnas, and it's under oath.
Yes, sir.
I thank you. I yield back. Chair.
So he just corroborated, right? All of the lies. Trump saying he didn't need to be impeached. Like, he corroborated why Nancy Pelosi impeached.
Well,
Vlad Parnas set up that call.
Trump's claim, his claim of innocence in this case is that, listen to the transcript, I never threatened him, right? That's the transcript. And that's how he got away with it, because it wasn't a direct threat. And they asked Zelensky, like, on that call, did you feel like Trump was threatening you? No. But that wasn't the right question. The right question was, did anybody from the Trump administration threaten you? Or did anybody speaking on behalf of them threaten you? Well, it appears they did. Like, and that was the whole case. And whether or not did Trump threaten to withhold that aid, we now have somebody who was communicating with them who probably can provide evidence of that, saying, and again, under oath, unlike Trump, doing this under oath, saying, yeah, like, I threatened them. I was told to threaten them. I threatened
On Sunday.
them. I set up the phone call. Like, I threatened them, set up the phone call, and then that phone call happened. That's, whether we believe it or not, that testimony could be very important. If there's evidence to back that up.
If he's lying, he could go to jail. Like,
now, to Republicans, the funny thing is they wouldn't care. Like, we're at the point now that it doesn't matter. Like, you guys can say it was a sham impeachment. There's now more evidence that it wasn't a sham impeachment. He goes, but you'll just always call it a sham impeachment. But now we know. Now we know that at least somebody is claiming, yeah, I threatened them. And you guys believe these IRS whistleblowers. They can't prove anything. But you're not going to believe this whistleblower, I assume, right? Got it.
of course not. Guys, keep tapping the screen.
The company in question, Burisma, not less, right?
Oh, this is
Well, the
good.
ironic part is the reason why majority of the world and Ukraine and the Obama administration wanted to get rid of Viktor Shokin because he was corrupt, not because he was investigating Burisma, because he was stalling investigations for UK that was looking into a $23 million they wanted to get out from Zlochevsky, and Shokin stalled that investigation.
So it was the logic is just the opposite of what the majority claims is to be the case, namely that they say that somehow Joe Biden was out to fire the prosecutor to reduce the chances of a prosecution of Burisma, but actually in firing that prosecutor, he increased the chances of prosecuting Burisma, right?
Absolutely correct, yes.
So let me just talk to you about what some of the other witnesses in this impeachment inquiry have said. Jonathan Turley, the constitutional expert the Republicans brought forward, said there's no evidence of which he was aware to support impeaching the president. You agree with that, correct?
100%.
Garrett Graves, a colleague of ours, said just last week, quote, "Have I seen anything that is impeachable? No, I haven't." You agree with that statement as well?
Yes, sir.
Last year, our Republican colleague Ken Buck, who's about to retire, said that evidence of wrongdoing by President Biden, quote, doesn't exist right now. It doesn't exist now. It didn't exist then, right?
That's exactly true, sir.
Boom. Like this, his testimony under oath. So important.
And again, these aren't even like, most of us already know that, right? Most of us already know. It's not like he's breaking news that the entire world wanted Shokin fired. Like everybody, wait, is Shokin? Yeah, Shokin's the investigator,
Yeah,
right?
Shokin, yes.
Okay, I always mix up him and who, now I can't.
I can't even
the,
pronounce anyone else's name. So.
Yeah, so
I know what you're talking
everybody said that at the time, and the Trump case for this was another conspiracy theory that like everybody was just lying for Joe Biden. That really they wanted the prosecutor fired because he was investigating Burisma, but Joe Biden convinced the rest of the world and all of our allies to lie and say it's because they weren't investigating. Like that's your conspiracy theory, that the whole world just lied for us. Like the whole world, like, except for
everyone, yeah.
Except for what, like the Shokin who ran to Russia, and the owner of Burisma who ran to Russia. That's Okay.
Exactly.
It's like 2 versus the world, and you guys are taking the 2 who are clearly Russian assets.
And just for the record, I'm on 33 because I know I'm
Let me
a
read
little
a
bit
couple
off.
comments.
Okay. And
From DL, Hunter's laptop hit the Titanic. That's true. I believe that's true. I do. It's
makes
been
the
falsely...
most sense of every theory that we've heard.
A lot of people think it was an iceberg, but it was just a
In
really
fact,
big laptop.
Hunter
It was
Biden's laptop.
It was an HP. It was one of those really big, like, full-size computers from HP. That
When I
weighed
think
20
about it,
pounds.
I am surprised. This is the first hearing where Margarine didn't trot out some, corn photos from that laptop. Normally, this is the first one.
Yeah. Airborne Mom says, for Jay, with your eyes, I'll be your sugar mama.
Okay. He's uncomfortable. It's working.
No, I'm just looking down to read. I'm perfectly comfortable with all of this. In celebration of Felice saying Comer keeps inserting himself.
I did say that.
F. Mary
I didn't even
Banish.
catch that.
I think we've done this one before, but F. Mary Banish, Comer, Jim Jordan, Rudy
So
Kaludi.
hard. It's so hard. Gross. Stop.
I bet I
keep
don't
saying
think
gross
any of
things.
those would be so hard. I would doubt it.
Semi.
Yeah.
Wait, who was the
Comer, Jim Jordan, and Rudy Kaludi.
Oh my God. No, I give up. I literally give up on life at that point. I'm not doing it.
a
I
tough
can't touch
decision.
Rudy. I can't. No. He's like melting. No.
All right. Well, so this was from Ramses, by the way. So I'll take
Rudy
this
has
one.
to go. Rudy's got to go. And then I guess I'm going to marry James Comer. Jim Jordan, what he did to those wrestlers, like that's a personal trigger for me. I was a college athlete, and if you're being essayed, like it's your coach's job to protect you. Like what he did there to me is so gross.
Yeah, this one's easy for me. One night with Rudy Kaludi, I'm just going to get him tanked, and then in the morning tell him that we did something, and he'll believe it.
Josh says Rudy was a great mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Josh, please. You live in Michigan, Josh.
He was terrific. Oh, that's right. Josh loves stop and frisk. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's why he likes old Rudy Kaludi. Jim Jordan is getting banished, and I'm marrying Comer because, as he has pointed out to us multiple times, he is the largest landowner in his county.
Kentucky, in his county in Kentucky.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's
And
all that
Andy
inherited
Bashir
wealth from
would
his
then
daddy.
be our governor.
Yeah.
So
Great job.
that's a good one.
I'm going to take that land in the divorce, and I'm going to turn it into one of two. I'm going to turn it into like wildlife refugees and like solar farms. Just all the things he hates. Maybe I'll throw up some windmills.
Windmills everywhere.
And they'll all be painted LGBTQ, like all the colors
rainbow
of the LGBTQ
windmills.
flag. Yeah.
A rainbow wind farm. Could you imagine how they'd love that in Kentucky? They would.
We
be
may
on
even
board.
spread mist in the air so that every morning we can get a rainbow.
Can you imagine? Okay,
Yes,
so
24/7 drag story hours at
at the Rainbow
Comer,
Wind Farm,
the
Rainbow
Comer
Wind
RTP Ranch.
The kids can come on field trips. Can you imagine the protesting?
That's right. You're not allowed on without telling us your pronouns either. So watch it.
Yes, pronouns only. Nothing but pronouns.
We're not gonna. No straights. No straights can show PDA. No straights. No kissing if you're a straight. Okay, none of that.
And women don't. Wait, never mind. I was going to say something inappropriate.
Yeah, and we will have plays, and none of the couples will be.
You
will
love
be
Broadway.
hetero. None of them.
All musicals.
Yeah.
All musicals. Okay, so Dan Goldman has entered the chat. Dan Goldman was hilarious in this hearing.
And do you know when this agreement was entered into?
The poster
Take it
board that
down.
you're holding up, or the actual legal document that was signed?
The agreement, sir.
Oh, this is where, by the way, Tony Bobolinsky pretends to be blind.
Yeah.
We had a brief stint of Tony Bobolinsky pretending to be blind to get out of answering questions.
The actual legal document that was signed?
The agreement, sir.
The agreement.
The agreement was signed May 22nd, 2017. Who was the vice president then?
May 22nd, you said? I think it was Mike Pence.
Who was the president?
Donald Trump.
Okay. And when did? Okay. And do you know when this agreement?
He literally could not do it. No, he did. I know. But
You
that's
got the president and vice president, right?
But that's the point though, is like you're talking about something that happened when he was not the vice president. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's very slick how they conflate the things. Like they'll switch off, you know, and they'll talk
Because
about
the
something.
cabal. You're
Yeah.
forgetting about the cabal.
Oh yes, it is a
Yeah,
cabal.
it's really the cabal. DL letting us know.
Speaking
Thank
of the
you.
cabal, Clay Higgins is next. Ghost Bus, the Ghost Buses.
DL, just I appreciate the live updates. DL, Hunter's laptop spotted fleeing the Ford Theater. Oh no. Oh,
He got
no.
Lincoln.
It's
got
been
Lincoln.
implicated. It got the Titanic and Lincoln. God damn, that laptop
laptop's
is up
been
to some
everywhere.
things. Kimberly says, for both are my addiction. Love your lives. Thank you. Thanks for being addicted to us. I appreciate that.
So think about like what we've listened to so far, like how much, like how serious the Democrats are, like how much testimony, right, is being gone through, how serious this hearing is. And then I just want, here's Clay Higgins. This is what Clay Higgins' argument is untraceable diamonds.
I just wanted to draw a comparison here. Yesterday, so I have headphones. I have some Jabra headphones. They're great, by the way, if you like Jabra. So this is my case for my headphones. And I had my headphones on, and then I lost my case, which is not unusual for me. I lose literally everything. None of you should be surprised. But for like 2 days, I lost it. And then I was doing laundry, and it was under the bed. And I was like, hell yeah, I must have kicked it under the bed. And then I went and I was with my daughter, and she saw the case, and she's like, oh, you found your headphone case. I was like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I forgot where I put it. And I was like, what? And she's like, and I was like, wait, did you hide it? And she's like,
that's funny.
I don't know. And that just reminded me of Bob Alinsky when he was confronted. He's like, oh, I don't know. They have the same responses. But she did later admit that what happened is she hid my headphone case. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? I was looking for it. She goes, because I forgot where I hid it. So she was also surprised where I found it. But then she's like, oh, I remember. It fell out of your pocket, and then you weren't paying attention, so I grabbed it, and I ran into the other room and hid it under the bed. So anyways, they just remind me of each other. My 4-year-old
and
daughter. And
Clay Higgins is not unlike a 4-year-old as well. He believes in fantastical ideas.
And temper tantrums.
But the existence of other forms of payment is fascinating because diamonds are untraceable. We really don't know how many diamonds Biden received, do we?
We don't. And for somebody who's been to mainland China, probably.
This has nothing to do with anything. But let's just, you know what I mean? Like, let's listen to two conspiracy theorists and how they speak to each other.
Well, wasn't this, there's something in the deposition about a diamond.
Yeah, but that's unrelated. So,
yeah.
Which in the Hunter, again, anyone can read the Hunter Biden transcript. But what happened was, in China, it's customary to exchange gifts with foreign dignitaries and businessmen. Someone gave them like a stone, right? It's listed as a stone, and Hunter gave it to James Biden, who had it appraised in Miami, and it was worthless. That's that story. But like Clay,
and then Hunter's like, yeah, that kind of sucked. They gave us like this worthless diamond, and we gave him like a $40,000 bottle of scotch.
It was like it was like $10,000 or $12,000 bottle of like, you know, one of the rare labels of like scotch. That is
I think it's kind of cool of China though to give
to stiff them,
a Chinese
so
knockoff as a gift. I love
it's
that.
So messed up.
Like remember about all that IP theft and all those design thefts we took? Well, here's another example. Enjoy it.
But so Clay Higgins' argument, like Lev Parnas is just tearing up this hearing, exposing other Congress people as complicit in this. And then Clay Higgins is like, let me talk to you guys about the possibility of untraceable diamonds. And then Bob Alinsky's just like, yeah.
But the existence of other forms of payment is fascinating.
Yes, they exist.
Diamonds are untraceable. We really don't know how many diamonds Biden received, do we?
You know, we don't know if they received any, actually.
That's exactly.
It could be 0. It could be 8 trillion. We don't know, and that's the problem. Therefore, Joe Biden impeached. What are you
exactly?
Felice, I also don't know if you have any diamonds, but I can't rule out that you don't.
He was a cop, this guy.
Yeah,
like how many people did he railroad?
So I forgot that he was the cop that got famous for like
didn't
trying to go to war. He did that commercial and he's like, we ain't afraid of punks like you. We can meet anytime, any place without the weapons. I'll meet you in the streets. in the libraries, in a church, praise Jesus, or I'll meet you in your neighborhood, which is a place I do not like to go.
Also, you guys,
Amen.
just again to say who Clay Higgins is. This is also the man that believes that ghost buses full of FBI agents who was responsible for January 6th.
Yeah, it's so stupid. He had a great opportunity to call these ghost diamonds. He could have had
He
ghost
didn't. He should have
buses
said
and
ghost diamonds because I would have been there.
And he
That-
fucked it up.
He
Yeah.
could have. He really did ruin
He had
this
a real
opportunity.
chance to brand himself there, and he ruined it.
Because diamonds are untraceable. We really don't know how many diamonds Biden's received, do we?
We don't. And for somebody who's been to mainland China probably 10 plus times, Hong Kong probably 15 plus times,
Yeah,
I
let
had
me
hundreds
shift.
of people, Congressman, I had hundreds of people working for me in mainland China. At one point, I never got a diamond from any business.
Yeah, Tony, nobody likes you, is what we just learned, Tony. Tony, it is literally tradition to exchange gifts while doing business in China, and what we learned is nobody liked you or valued you enough to give you a gift. That was actually quite sad.
In fact, they wouldn't even give me meetings. I couldn't even get in the room. Never once a gift, never once a meeting, and now I'm supposed to believe that Hunter Biden gets gifts and meetings?
I know, imagine that. Maybe because he's ridiculously good looking and an Ivy
Bob
League
Linsky looks
educated
like a hairy
lawyer
thumb.
and has proximity to actual power. I don't know Bob Linsky. Maybe, and they gave him a fake diamond. That's what you get when you have real proximity. Well, they call them in national security, whatever, the princelings or whatever, that, and they gave him a fake diamond.
All Bob Linsky got was a Louis Velveeta knockoff wallet. That's all he's like, this is bullshit.
You gotta feel bad for Bob Linsky. It's just
the consummate
unforced
outsider.
error after unforced error is what we see there. Okay, and this is actually really good because I think we all on the right and left can say that we like Ro Khanna. I love Ro Khanna. I believe this is him.
For Hunter's hard drive that we were told was out there, we were searching for bank records to validate certain bank records that was given to me, Hunter's personal bank records that was given to me by John Solomon that he said he got from the FBI to validate certain payments that were going for car.
So right now, Lev Parnas is saying he got Hunter Biden's personal bank records from John Solomon, who says he got them from Bill Barr's FBI.
Whoopsie.
Does everyone understand what Lev Parnas is saying right now?
Purchases, but the objective was to try to find a link from any of the payments that would go into Joe Biden's account.
And who told you to get this dirt?
Well, who told me? Rudy Giuliani.
Anyone else that you remember?
John Solomon. Everybody that was part of the team.
Did Bill Barr know that you were involved in getting this dirt?
Absolutely. Bill Barr was notified of
Prosecute Bill
our investigation
Barr.
from the day he took office.
Did you ever have a conversation with Bill Barr of being lenient towards Dimitri in his role, in Bill Barr's role as Attorney General?
I personally did not, but I was witness to Victoria Tunzing and Joe DeGeneva having a conversation with Bill Barr about Dimitri Firtash.
What did they say to Bill Barr?
Basically, they were telling him that the charges were false and that he needs to drop the charges and basically end the case.
Why did they tell him to drop the charges on this Russian oligarch?
Because Dimitri Firtash was going to help us getting dirt on the Bidens or whatever else the Trump campaign needed.
So my understanding is
Lev Parnas is testifying to Ro Khanna that Bill Barr was dropping charges, federal Department of Justice charges on a Russian oligarch who said if they dropped the charges, he would help get dirt on Joe Biden.
Yeah. Remember, and Bill Barr, this guy, a guy that is this corrupt, even Bill Barr, this corrupt motherfucker is like, guys, we can't do Donald Trump again. This type of corruption is looking at
Bill
Donald
Barr
Trump and
needs
going,
to be
"You
held
corrupt."
accountable. This is what I'm saying with Bill Barr. This is like riding a train right before the last stop and jumping off. Oh, I wasn't on the train. Bill,
Yeah.
you were the train conductor, and we see you. He works for the Department of Justice. He has a higher code of ethics. He's needs to be answered for. Bill Barr is awful.
I know we're having fun, and so I hate to bring like breaking news that's not as fun. Hunter's laptop bringing Marie Antoinette cake.
Let them eat cake. Gosh,
Yeah, and
Hunter Biden,
served by
she
Hunter
would
Biden's laptop.
be
That is
all up
terrible.
in Hunter Biden's laptop.
Oh Lord. Jen says,
You have to read it. Is it making you? Are you embarrassed?
Jen says, in quotations, "Give it to me, give it to me," she yelled. "I'm so wet, give it to me now." She could scream all she wanted, but I was keeping the umbrella. This is what you... This is what you get
send
for
me that.
trying
I
to
need
get
that.
people to show me affection and tell them they love me. Oh, that's... Thanks,
That's
Jen.
hilarious. Like, did someone just find that on the internet?
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
From Elizabeth. Oh, son of a bitch.
He's so red. That's
Sorry. Yeah. Why do
your face is? Sorry. Just keep your hat down.
Well, because somebody's gonna fucking clip that. Just that part. They're not gonna. They're gonna leave out the part where like I said, Jen said it. They're just gonna clip that. So I'm like, I was just thinking about how awful that's gonna be. Anyways, from Elizabeth, for Felice, you are truly an inspiration to me. As a gal raised by Republicans who works in the tech industry, I relate to you in so many ways. You add such valuable commentary to the show, and I've learned so much. Sorry if this makes you uncomfy.
No, that's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said, and I understand like the stress that's on you every day being a woman in the tech industry. You guys, the tech industry is like 90% male. Existing as a woman in it, the amount of stress that's on you, I feel for you. You got this.
Yeah, I was in the sun. Shut up, all of you.
That's what it is. Okay, wait. So
there's
is
this
just
filter that we still can't figure out how to get off. If somebody knows how to take this filter off my face so I don't look like a damn tomato every day, let me know. I don't know how to do it.
I'm with you. You look good though. We all think you're handsome. Everybody
Shut up. Go
send
move
messages saying that.
So my understanding is you have the Trump campaign telling you to talk to a Russian oligarch to get dirt on the president of the United States for political reasons. And then someone from the Trump campaign is talking to the attorney general to drop the charges because this foreign national is helping get dirt on a political candidate.
Absolutely.
Did Bill Barr indicate any willingness to drop the charges?
After a meeting that Victoria Tunzing and Joe DeGeneres had with DOJ, they came back and informed me that we're going to Vienna because to tell Dmitry Firtash everything's going to be okay.
And what type of dirt were you trying to get?
We were searching for Hunter's hard drive that we were told was out there. We were searching for bank records to validate certain
hold on
bank
real quick.
records that was given to me.
They couldn't find the hard drive because the fucking FBI had it. They were being led around the world. This is how dumb these people are. The FBI had it.
Bill Barr's like pretending he doesn't have it.
Bill Barr
gaslighting
knows
them.
that, and he's like, "Hey guys, keep going on these expeditions to find it."
You guys are almost there.
It's like a elaborate prank that Bill Barr was playing on them.
And also, let's
so
just
stupid.
Bill Barr's crimes are stacking up. This is I mean, hello? Like, if you want to look at the weaponization of the DOJ, look no further than Bill Barr.
It's like the Jamie Kennedy experiment out here. Oh no!
That was given to me by John Solomon.
What?
Sorry, breaking news.
It's about the laptop.
Hunter Biden's laptop claims to be Luke's father. That is not good.
That's hilarious.
It's not good.
And that he said he got from the FBI to validate certain payments that were going for car purchases. But the objective was to try to find a link from any of the payments that would go into Joe Biden's account.
And who told you to get this dirt?
Well, who told me? Rudy Giuliani. Reaching for
Oh, Rudy, bad day at the office for you.
Rudy's just sitting here watching, like, don't say my name, don't say my name. And like every couple minutes, like, fuck, she said my name again.
I wonder whose name. Rod Johnson must have just been peeing his pants. Like I just don't even know what he was doing.
Do you know anything if anything was done with the charges?
Till this day, Dimitri Firtash is not here.
Do you believe that Bill Barr should be investigated for his conduct in potentially dropping these charges?
I absolutely believe that, but not only that, I believe Bill Barr should be investigated into the cover-up and trying to silence me to get the truth out of what really happened in Ukraine.
And explain the cover-up and what you believe he should be investigated with your last minute.
My arrest was set up strictly to shut me up, to seal my documents, take away all my information, and turn me into a crazy man that had no way to prove what was going on. But the real story was Bill Barr was trying to save Donald Trump from impeachment and use me as a scapegoat. What he didn't realize was Donald Trump was not going to stop and was continue doing what he wanted to do. And that's why it blew up in Bill Barr's face. He also hired special counsel at the time, Brady, to look into Ukraine. When we tried to reach out with my attorney to special counsel Brady, he never returned our phone call. Nobody wanted to hear anything I had to say that had to do with Ukraine, Donald Trump, or Rudy Giuliani.
Holy shit.
Do you know?
That's wild.
You hearing that?
I'm just like, yeah, Ro Khanna
So-
always gets the best. You know what I mean? Like, he went after Bill Barr. Something both sides can agree. Bill Barr is the worst.
Give me a more or a better explanation than he just offered for what happened to Bill Barr. Bill Barr was in on it, but it got to a point that was too crazy for even Bill Barr to be involved anymore, and Bill Barr left. Right? That lines up. All of this lines up. The way he's telling the story, the timeline, the timeline of when evidence came out, it's all lining up. This all matches up. So, like, maybe Lev Parnas is a genius. Maybe he has a whole team behind him who went and did a bunch of research and they figured out the timeline and they inserted things and they somehow have data to back it up. Or maybe he's telling the truth. Could be one of those two things. But what he's saying matches up with the timeline. So if you're going to discredit this, what's the counter? Why else did Bill Barr leave? We heard when he left, he told us why he left. He told us like he wasn't going to break the law for Trump. That's what he said. He's like, Mr. Trump, I can't do this. I can't break the law like this. I won't cross this bridge. And Trump's like, all right, well then you need to resign. So he resigned. This is all lining up very, very closely with even Bill Barr's story.
I'm just going to play a clip really quick of Nancy Mace failing. I just have 30 you can fix her, Jay. You can fix her, trust me.
The crazier she gets, the more I love her, though. I gotta
She's
be honest.
getting crazier fast.
I didn't
too.
like
She's
her that much.
Lauren Boebert is looking sane.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
it's true. And I wish this wasn't true, but I know that you do like her more now.
I'm liking her a lot more. Yep. I hope her outfits get crazier, too. I hope she goes knee-high boots every day. Add some fur
And the
to it,
scarlet
too.
letters, just
Scarlet
every
letters.
day, just the
Yep.
scarlet egg.
I'm hoping that cross gets about that big. I want the cross to be half of her middle section.
So gross.
All right, Joe Biden has repeatedly claimed that he was not involved in Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, or any other Biden family business deals. Today, our witnesses have proved otherwise. Today, we've established Joe Biden lied about interacting with Hunter Biden's business associates. It is my belief Joe Biden is the closer for Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, and their business associates and foreign interests. Good luck to the left proving otherwise. Thank you, and I yield back.
Like, no,
And
Nancy,
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I gotta go. That was so
Nancy,
stupid.
what?
God, I love her. That was so stupid.
embarrassing. We're having
I
a
love that
serious
kind of
hearing,
confidence.
Nancy. We're having a serious hearing.
The thing that I would like about dating Nancy Grace is she's the kind of person.
Not
who can
Nancy
s-
Grace, not the
Nancy
lady
Mace,
that yells
sorry.
about
Nancy
kidnapped.
Mace. Sorry, I'm not.
people.
I don't even know much about Nancy Grace, but Nancy Mace. We could sneak into any event. She just be like, no, I'm supposed to be here, and she says obvious lies and dumb things with so much confidence.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I think I could really accomplish some things with her by my side. Like I could get into some places.
I think
She's
so,
in
too.
Congress. How the fuck did she get in Congress?
And
She's an
look,
idiot.
The people of Charleston, South
Yeah.
Carolina, like
She's
riddle
got
me
great
this.
confidence. She's
They
really
don't
good
hold-
at confidence.
I feel like at least, well, actually, I don't know. Then again, how is anyone in Congress really? But I do have some good news. So, most people were on topic, like talking about the Ukraine stuff and everything. But Chantel Brown, this is number 25 on the outline, by the way. So Chantel Brown, she wins the award for like someone who just chose to straight up drag Trump into next week. I mean, She's like a
Shows
poet,
violence
kind of.
yesterday,
It kind of was like poetry it was like slam poetry of just literally though slamming Trump.
Who is in charge? It is the bondless, broke,
She said bondless.
broke bluffer, twice impeached, 4 times indicted, insurrection initiator, election denying, self-declared dictator on day one, and puppet for Putin. The one who wants to terminate the Constitution and defund the FBI. The one who romanticized exchanging of love letters with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. The one who just last week embraced autocrat Orban of Hungary to discuss their diabolical plans to destroy our democracy.
Yes, Lord.
The one who proposed a policy to ban Muslims from this country. The one who just this week said any Jewish person who votes for a Democrat hates their religion and Israel. The one who called neo-Nazis carrying tiki torches chanting Jews will not replace us, good people. The one who referred to African nations as, I quote, shithole countries. The one who called NFL players, the majority whom are black, sons of bitches for taking a knee in protest of the ever-present racial inequality and police brutality that continues to pervade our justice system. The one who called Mexicans rapists and promised to build a wall and have them pay for it, and in case you missed it, it didn't happen. The one who told women of color from the born in the United States, elected to Congress and serving on this very committee, to go back to their own countries. The one who bragged about grabbing women by their private parts. The one who confused his rape victim, whom he claimed was not his type, for his very own ex-wife. The one who is an admitted and committed adulterer who attempted to pay off a porn star for her silence. The one who has publicly mocked people with disabilities. The one who dodged the draft and referred to prisoners of war as losers, the very people who pay a high price so we could enjoy the freedoms that far too many of us take for granted. The one who boasted about being able to stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue to shoot someone and not lose votes. Who is
That was Shontel, Shontel Brown. Pretty cool, right?
Where's old what's his face to pull the fire alarm?
Meanwhile, Clay Higgins is talking about untraceable diamonds and Ghostbusters.
There's ghost diamonds, there's Ghostbusters. Who we gonna call Ghostbusters? Okay, we need the Ghostbusters. That's clear at this point. We can't see anything. All the evidence is a ghost. How are we gonna get the evidence if it's ghosts, if it's invisible? I didn't come to Congress for this.
Yeah, I don't really. Chantel Brown is kind of, you know what I mean? We don't really focus on her, but that was like poetry. Music to my literal ears.
Oh no. Hunter's laptop scene chilling with Henry VIII.
What? He's gonna behead him. Watch out.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's only women. That's only women. Excuse me.
Not a good look, Hunter's laptop. Not a good look.
Okay, wait. Hold on. What? Oh, this is good too. What is her name? Hold on. I want to make sure I get her name right. I think it's Stansbury. Representative Stansbury. She kind of has like strawberry blonde hair. She's always so good.
As established in your testimony, you traveled to and met with Ukrainian officials and told them that the White House would withhold its support and aid to Ukraine if it did not cooperate with this bribery, essentially.
That's correct.
And as we all know, Donald Trump's administration, and specifically the Office of Management and Budget, did withhold that foreign aid in 2019. And here's the guy who did it. And he's representing the witness who's literally on Zoom with us for this committee today. And it's the reason why Donald Trump was impeached the first time. And the man at the center of that scheme is involved in the House GOP's inquiry. But I also want to point out that Mr. Paoletta is also involved in and very much in bed with the Thomases. In fact, he represented Miss Jenny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, in her involvement in the Stop the Steal before the January 6th committee, and actually also goes on vacation with Mr. Harlan Crow and the Thomases. So this man has quite an interesting roster and participation in this hearing. But the bigger picture here is that Mr. Paoletta's presence is yet another indication of the way in which this hearing and this impeachment inquiry is part of Donald Trump's larger misinformation campaign, just like it was in 2020, where in addition to pressuring and withholding aid to Ukraine, Rudy Giuliani and the Trump Organization, as Mr. Parnas has established, planted the story in the media. And now here we are 4 years later, as they've dredged it back up and are planting it back in the media, using Congress, using this committee, and using a baseless impeachment supported by Donald Trump's own allies on this committee to push that information out. As members on this committee have trafficked in false evidence that was planted by a Russian operative to the FBI and is now in jail for that.
Do you see how she brought that full circle there?
Yeah.
And who's tied into the middle of it but Ginny and Clarence Thomas and Harlan Crow?
That's the thing about like what Republicans have done during the Trump era is they recycle lies and they never admit that their lies are wrong. When it gets to the point where like the lies are no longer effective, they just go away. But now she correctly identifies, oh, you just brought them back up. Like we already did this. We've already covered all the shit. We already know this isn't evidence. We already know that you don't have evidence to back up any of this because we already did it. But you're just saying it again. Why? Because like the press doesn't want to pick it up anymore. It's not working on your morning shows. So what do you have to do? You're going to hold a new hearing, and you're just going to bring up the same regurgitated shit that we already did. That's why the Republicans are getting dunked on so hard here, is because literally everybody knows that what they're saying is bullshit. Everybody knows. They know. The American people know. We already did this, and it didn't work. And they're like, well, maybe if we just do it 10 more times, it'll work.
No, 100% agree. And this is the best part. Sorry. Oopsies. I just lost my spot. But as soon as I find it, I'm going to play a clip. Basically, during the hearing, Comer starts saying, like, you guys are making a mistake. Like, someone referred to Parnas as a Republican witness. And then Parnas, like, breaks in and says, like, I was a Republican for Donald Trump.
You made a mistake and said that Mr. Parnas was a Republican witness. He is very much your witness, not a Republican witness.
But I was a Republican for Donald Trump.
Mr. Chairman, I did not I said that, so we can...
Pursuant to the previous order, the chair declares the committee in recess.
Anyways, it's just funny because he absolutely was.
Yeah, he's there. Like, the reason you guys didn't call him is because he's a Republican for Trump that like is shitting on him. And the reason the Democrats called him is because all of the Democrats' witnesses are former Republicans. They always are. Like it's Republicans turning on Trump that keep getting him in trouble.
Sorry, I'm just deciding.
I feel bad for him.
You feel bad for who?
Yeah, Donald. He's being picked on. You think he's being picked on?
Yeah, this hearing, it really was rough for him.
How's Josh? Josh, how you doing down there? You doing okay, Josh? I haven't seen you comment for a minute, but I haven't been looking. I'm just quick check.
I didn't
on Josh.
check True Social this morning. I'm sure he was not taking any.
Wait, is you and Josh follow each other on True Social?
Josh? Oh no, I'm talking about Trump.
He's not.
I was saying, like, I'm sure he didn't have a great reaction. I'm sure he's calling for everyone to be arrested for perjury. That's his new thing, is that everyone's perjuring themselves when they tell the truth about it. And someone in this hearing made a great point to Lev Parnas. They're like, I think it's Raskin at some point. He's like, they're not mad at you for lying and going to jail. They are mad that you stopped lying for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Everybody that goes to jail for him turns out to like be his enemy. That's the crazy part. Oh no.
What?
Hunter Biden's laptop. What? Turns out Hunter Biden's laptop let the dogs out.
Oh my God. That song forever will haunt us.
That goddamn laptop.
Why was that song popular?
That's devastating. Thank you, DL, for keeping us posted on
Now we know who let the dogs out.
Do you want to keep playing the clips or talk to HVAC? I vote clips. Audience, you can decide. We can keep playing.
I mean, we
clips
could
or
talk to Jeff for a
HVAC.
little bit because I could go.
You need a little break?
I could
All right,
go
take
pee
a little
really
break.
quick.
All right, Jeff, you've got a few minutes. This is a good opportunity for everybody who needs to pee or take a walk outside, touch
I want to
grass.
talk to Jeff for a second.
It's a good opportunity to take a shit, whatever you need to do. I'll take the break for you guys. This is everybody's opportunity to take a break. And the self-proclaimed best debater on Talk Talk is here.
What the hell?
What happened?
On.
You hear about Hunter Biden's laptop?
Yeah. What happened? Did it come from...
It's been linked to a whole bunch of crimes today.
Are you being facetious?
It apparently took down the Titanic. That's what we're hearing. It let the dogs out. That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like your version of how we feel about, or our version of how you feel about Trump.
What do we feel about that he let the
I thought
dogs
Trump
out?
I thought he was responsible for sinking the Titanic.
Oh,
I thought
nope.
I thought it was his fault all the ice cream machines are broken at McDonald's.
No, turns out it was Hunter Biden's laptop this whole time.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Well,
That's
I mean,
crazy,
color me
yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, that helps for you guys. I don't think Hunter's gonna win re-election after this.
Why
I
didn't
have a sneaking
Hunter show
feeling.
up today? Why didn't he show up? Or what? I think
yesterday, you mean? You
Isn't
can
it-
read the
kinda
letter from
cowardly?
his attorneys. I don't remember why they decided he didn't show up. What would you have
Sounds-
liked? What do you
sounds
think
a
he
little
would have
weak.
added to that hearing? What questions do you think they had for him that haven't been appropriately answered at this point?
Yeah, I mean, just to like berate him in front of the American people would be nice.
About what though? Like, what would if you were if you had
Everything,
the
just like the
if you had the floor, what would you berate Hunter Biden for?
I would be like, I would ask him the silly questions like, do you have proof that Donald Trump committed any crimes? I would just ask him like off the wall dumb questions that he can't say yes to. That's everything's just a no, or that he can say yes to, but that would only help my narrative, right?
Why would that help your narrative? Out of curiosity.
No, I'm just because if you right, it's just the fact that you guys can't prove that Trump is a criminal, right?
Well, I mean, in civil court 3 times they have that he broke the law. So yeah, I mean, are you saying criminal is if you break the law?
There's a difference between civil and criminal court.
Yeah, but both of them you're breaking the law, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so he's a criminal at least 3 times so far.
Civilly.
Yeah, but a criminal.
Yeah.
Why do you guys have to do that? Why do you guys have to do that?
And Joe Biden has been a civil criminal. He's been convicted as a civil criminal again. How many times?
Yeah, I mean, by a corrupt system, I guess. I mean, if that's what you have to rely on. I mean,
was it 0?
Hey,
What
that's
about
what you have to rely on.
impeachments? How many times have they impeached Joe Biden?
0. Yeah, 0. But again, how do
and Trump?
how
and how many
any of
times
these
was
things
Trump
have any bearing?
impeached? And Trump
0,
was
0,
impeached?
0. So tell
Trump
me something,
was impeached
RTP.
twice.
So I answered your question. I have to answer mine. So
Trump was impeached
don't
twice.
you agree? So
Wait,
are
hold on.
you're just
Jeff?
Yeah,
Jeff.
he was impeached twice. I agree.
There we go.
And
okay, so
your
0
point,
to
your point.
so
Thank
Trump's
you,
up
thank you.
2-0.
He's up 2-0. Yeah,
On
and you see that's the
impeachment,
thing.
and he's up
That's the problem with
3-0
you
on
Democrats.
criminal charges.
Sure. That's the problem with you Democrats,
So
right?
he is winning
it's-
something.
count?
He's winning.
You're-
Trump's winning
yeah,
something.
In,
There you
in
go.
your guys'
Jeff.
head, he's winning something, right? But again,
Who, Trump?
winning
Trump's
is
up
not
5-0. It's
winning
a
for
blowout.
America. Hang on, shush. Winning for America is not indicting someone or impeaching someone. That's
We're
not
not
a
talking
win.
about winning for
right?
America.
If
I was talking
anything,
about
it shows.
just the total,
hang on.
just
If
the
anything,
total count.
wait, slow down.
of
If anything, it shows
criminality.
this.
What's that?
Right, you're interrupting me, and you're trying to play the game a little bit, but no one plays it better than me. Okay.
Well, it's because
You
nobody
can't
knows
ask
what
me
game
10
you're playing.
questions.
Nobody can figure out what
Yeah,
you're doing.
I play the best game. I'm
It's
the
like
greatest
you
debater on
invented a
TikTok.
game and
You
didn't tell
already know
anybody else the
this.
rules.
I am the rule maker and breaker, and you.
Yeah,
will,
that's what I
you
just
will
said.
adhere
You
to it.
invented a game and didn't tell anybody the rules. That's what I just said.
Well, look, I could tell you the rules, but you're still going to cheat.
All right, probably.
It's like a typical Democrat.
I
You
hear
guys
ya.
are like
Cheaters.
toddlers that missed your nap time.
Wait. So, Felice, what was your question?
I didn't ask a question. I said, see, Trump is winning something. I said 2-0
Oh,
impeachment.
look,
He's winning.
guys, but it's not. Again, you guys have made it into this game, right? This tit for tat,
Like Felicia
And
and I are
Wait,
like
let me just
Democrats.
ask you a question, Jeff. If
Just
it's not for
Democrats.
show, are you aware that still to this day, the House Republicans have not sent the articles of impeachment for Mayorkas to the Senate? If it's not for show, what are they doing?
No, I'm saying you could make the argument that it is for show, but it was for
I'm
show
talking
with
about the
Donald Trump, too.
Republicans. They're putting on a show.
Oh.
The House,
Oh, yeah,
they
that's what I'm
impeached
saying.
Mayorkas and have not sent the articles of impeachment to the Senate because it's just for
That's
show.
fine.
Now, did
Exactly.
Felice, did the articles of impeachment go to the Senate when Trump was impeached?
Yes,
How many times?
0.
No, how many times did they go to the Senate from the House when Trump was impeached?
Oh, I don't know. Well,
2.
no, I'm.
How
yeah.
many, how many,
Well,
how many
they went
impeachment
there, yeah.
inquiries did they have before
Actually,
they?
this is not. Yeah, the
voted?
Democrats have had more impeachment inquiries into Biden than the Democrats had into Trump.
And
We're at
my
15
ultimate
now.
point is that they
No,
don't
you just
even want
misspoke.
to have a Senate
just
trial.
misspoke.
If you impeach someone, usually, right, the purpose is for there to then be a Senate trial. That is the whole point. The impeachment is just a vote to then have a Senate trial. And I'm telling you, they don't even want to do that. This is just for show. So you're accusing the Democrats of doing things for show, but yeah, they haven't. They held trials.
Yeah, no. Just because you hold a trial or you do or you don't submit documents for impeachment, again, it's you can consider it all to be a show based off your own logic, right?
Well,
Unless
yeah,
you're
that's-
saying that
yeah, if
it's
that's-
not a show.
yeah,
oh,
if
damn,
you want
damn,
to ignore the
damn,
fact
you
that
interrupted me right in the middle of my
sometimes-
sentence.
Yeah, I know,
Damn,
because if you
that's rough.
want to ignore
That's
if you
rough.
want to ignore the fact that like there's a difference between these two impeachments, then yeah, what you do in your own mind to convince yourself that they're the same,
When did
is
I
you
say
just tell
there's-
yourself
oh,
they're all
wait,
a
and I'm gonna
show,
interrupt
and you don't want to
interrupt you
discuss
'cause
the
now
differences
you're putting
between
words
the
in my
two.
mouth.
You don't want to
Be
discuss the
accurate.
differences between the
Hang
two.
on, RTP. Be accurate and fair with what you're
I'm
saying.
so
right?
accurate.
Use your
I'm so-
words correctly.
I'm a
All
sharpshooter.
right. I know you have a hard time because you're so surrounded by the propaganda and your rhetoric is strong, right? But look, you actually have to listen to facts and
The
real
projection.
ideas and lines of logic, right? So again, your claim is this, right? You're saying Democrats didn't
You're
put on a
muted,
show
Jay.
when they impeached.
Well, I was just saying, I don't think logic are the lines you've been doing, Jeff.
So what you're saying is the Democrats didn't put on a show when they impeached Trump, but now when they're impeaching, when the Republicans are impeaching Biden or trying to, it's just all for show.
No, what I said is that there's a difference between the two in that on one of them, they seem to have evidence and they were able to impeach. And on the other one, they can't get past introducing articles of impeachment. They were challenged yesterday. They're like, hey, why don't you start the impeachment hearing? They're like, well, we're not done yet. Well, you have
Yeah,
15 months later, no evidence, can't tell us a crime. You guys you're literally fishing for a crime, and then
Wait,
you're trying to
slow down,
compare
dude.
the two. You're like, well, it's all a show. No, one
Rewind.
of them is a show that had
Rewind.
that had evidence and it had a plot, and yours is just like a show idea. You guys can't tell us what the crime is. You can't show us any evidence. Nobody seems to even know what's going on. You just have an idea for a show.
Do you consider someone testifying and saying that someone did this other thing like at least a partial evidence?
It's not
Right, like
evidence
such as
of a
like
crime.
when Cassidy Hutchinson said that shit about Trump, do you consider that to be legitimate?
It's not evidence of a crime. What are you talking about? It's totally different.
Wait. So if someone watched you commit a crime and they told someone else you did this thing, that wouldn't be considered any
She
type of
didn't
evidence.
say I watched him commit a crime. She said he tried to stop the driver from driving to the White House, like wanted to stop the driver from going back to the White House and instead go
Well,
to the.
she
I
said
don't know if
that
that's a
Mark
crime.
Meadows' assistant told her that. That is the testimony. But many other people corroborated that testimony. But Jeff, I see what you're saying. You're asking us, like, because Cassidy Hutchinson is under oath testifying to these things, like, do we reasonably give that some credit? Yes, I would say so. And but the problem is, if you're drawing that comparison to Bobolinsky, the difference is Bobolinsky doesn't have the evidence. It's not like Bobolinsky has the smoking gun that links Joe Biden financially to the Biden crime family. That's the missing piece of evidence. I do understand that Bobolinsky's under oath, and it'll be interesting to see, like, Lev Parnas literally said during the hearing, like, hey, I'm doing you a favor, like, just stop talking because this is what happened to me, like, you can perjure yourself and go to jail. So, yeah, but I understand what you're saying. The Republicans had Bobolinsky under oath. I mean, what was he testifying to? Like, influence peddling.
Right. I mean, and and again, my overall, you tried to like dig into like the actual, evidence and what's going on, right? And that's fine. And I totally understand that. But don't get mad at the Republicans for trying to gather all the information to make a well-informed decision when they want to pass a vote through the House.
No,
Unlike
we're not
Pelosi,
mad. Today's been one of the best days of my life. I'm so glad that they did this. I'm thrilled that the Republicans did this. We have been laughing for almost 3 hours now. This is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So I am not upset at Republicans. In fact, I would ask Republicans to keep doing this. I want more of this from Republicans, and only this. I don't want them to do anything else. It's going to work very well for us. I do have 2 questions for you.
okay, so then you don't
Hold on
have a
real quick.
problem.
2 questions real quick, and then you can respond. I do need to know, I have 2 news reports come in. One, that Hunter's laptop took your lunch money, and another that Hunter's laptop took your sleeves. Do you want to confirm or deny either of those 2?
No, my sleeves come out. I had to cut them off because my arms are way too big. You guys
I
wouldn't
knew
get
that this was going to come into
and what was
bicep
the
girth.
what was the second one?
Your lunch money. The
Oh yeah,
laptop
no,
stole
I
your lunch
don't
money.
eat lunch. I fast all day, so there you go.
All right, there you go.
And
Just
you
go
know
ahead
what?
and respond.
Let's face it, he probably needs my lunch money. Let's face
And
it.
I just last news here from Tip Top, just letting us know that Hunter's laptop is bedazzled with the diamonds. The ghost diamonds we were looking
The
for.
untraceable diamond.
They are traced back to Hunter Biden's laptop, and he bedazzled his
Makes
laptop
sense.
with those. Well done. Well done.
What
That
about
is so good.
I mean, I just think that it's all Trump's fault, though. You know what I mean? Because it's Orange Man bad, and because you know what? He's racist. He's a terrible person, and he's done nothing good for the American people, and it's all his fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if I had
it's all his fault.
if I had no retort, I'd probably resort to what you're doing too, where you're just like Orange
Yeah.
Man bad. Like if I didn't know how to
Well,
dispute
you're
any
sitting
of the
here saying
facts, that's what I would do
laptop
too.
bad. I'm doing what you're doing to me, genius.
What am I doing to you?
Well, you're being facetious, and you're using the laptop as some sort of like what is it called? What's the word I'm looking for? You're trolling
Laptop
me.
from hell.
Yeah, you're troll. It is a dude. Have you seen what was on that laptop?
Yeah,
It's
hell.
disturbing.
Yeah, Jeff, you missed earlier. These are so when people send donations, they can send or make comments. And this Hunter Biden laptop thing has been like a running joke this whole live. It's only directed at you now because you're here, but nobody's actually picking on you.
Oh,
We're
I
just
get it.
continuing a running joke.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
All right.
I thought it was from this morning, that live I hopped on or something. But damn, RTP, you are on one today, huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're feisty today. Oof.
Well,
I was getting. I didn't even
Were
really
you
want to
guys in a
smoke.
live together this morning?
I don't think so.
No, I hopped in just for, he invited me up just to say I was like they're charging Republicans.
Oh, he's getting charged. Remember that thing I was telling you
Yeah,
about earlier?
getting charged.
Yeah, he's got some charges brought up on him. No, I was in the middle of a allergy outbreak. I can't be close to like catfish, and I got too close, and I was having some allergies, so that's what I was doing this morning on that live. They were just helping me out.
I got, you know who came and debated me yesterday for a minute? Rational Boomer came up, but
Oh yeah, you guys they have a history of debate. Jeff debated him on YouTube, right?
yeah. So he came up.
That
We
was
basically
chaos.
talked.
That was chaos.
He started.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was an interesting debate. It was a long one too. I mean, it was more like a conversation, really.
Jeff, why won't you
It
accept
wasn't a
any
lot like a
facts?
conversation. It was like two people having conversations by themselves, but at the same time. That's what it was mostly like.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because that's not I don't think he's used to traditional debate form. It's more like a podcast setup type deal, right? Like you're just all you're doing, you're just talking to your audience and like asking each other questions at the end of the day.
I want
But
to
he
ask you a
did talk
question
in my
about
live.
about how you debate.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. When you're debating, are you just trying, like, when you say you're the best debater on Talk Talk, and look, I believe you. Are you when you debate, are you just trying to like, are you keeping like a running score in your head? Like you're trying to win like every sentence, or you try, because it feels like you're not trying to win the debate. You're just trying to win like every moment. and that you feel like if you don't get cornered, you won.
No,
Is that true?
not really. It depends on the energy. So if you look at like like last night I was debating and yeah, it depends on the energy that they come up with, and how like honest they're being and how if we can actually have a conversation. But if they just come up and they just say like they just start spewing the BS, so easy just to like, trap them into their flawed logic. But honestly, hey, RTP, that's the way debates go on TikTok. I don't know if you've not been debating people long enough, or
Well, a lot of people
because
are afraid. A lot of people are afraid. Lumberjack.
No, hang on. Hang on. Here's what I'll say. I've been debating people.
Older millennial.
Well,
Call them all out.
they are afraid to debate you. I agree. You are a good debater. There's no question about that. I'll admit it.
Thank you. Can I tell you my favorite debate moment that you've had in a long time? I'll tell you about it. I watched it the other day live. And it was so good I didn't even comment. You were debating who I think it was not.
No,
Rose,
you
it might have been
texted
Pam.
me and you said Jeff had a good point.
Yeah, that was a different time. You did have a good point on somebody, but no, this was it might have been Pam, whoever it was, somebody.
I don't think RTP wanted the audience to know that one.
Hold on, she was on mute. She was talking, but didn't realize that she had been muted, and she didn't talk for like 4 minutes. And you did. You went, and then when you were done talking, she still didn't respond. And so then you were like, you know what? This is a great debate. This is how debates should be. Like, that's why I respect you, is because you're a good debater. And she hadn't spoken for 4 minutes. She had no idea she was muted. And you were so happy. It made me so happy. You're like, this is the best debate I've had. And I realized that you may not have realized she was muted for that whole 4 minutes.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I remember. No, you actually made a comment about that.
Did
one
I?
too.
All right.
You're like,
I did.
well, I guess she's like not going to respond or being super quiet, or you're like, I think that's the quietest debater you made a comment, but no, I knew I wasn't debating her. I was talking about someone else. But I remember laughing at your comment, because you were actually being pretty funny that night. You were cracking me up for sure.
Thank you.
But yeah, it was funny because she was, it did like give the appearance that I was talking to her without her responding. Like, I don't know, but it was funny. But yeah, there was that. Honestly, I was just sitting there listening. I think I was done debating at that time.
Yeah, she wasn't talking. I just breaking news from Ty. I guess a message for Jeff. Hunter Biden's laptop is attempting to contact you about your car's extended warranty. If you could give them a call back.
Well, damn it! I knew I could get
laptop
calls. 1-800. That's funny. Wait, he said I made a good point. I want to hear what point did I make?
I can't remember. I think we were listening to you in like a abortion debate or something. It was more formal. It wasn't like just your regular like shit show stuff. But yeah,
I remember you made a good point.
If you make a good point, like, we admit it.
Sorry, I was paid to mute and kick him. So I just did it. I felt like we got there. Jeff, sorry, we'll do it again sometime, but we need to finish up this hearing.
I feel good about that. Yeah. I feel good about that interaction. See you later, Jeff.
There you go. Tamika, well done. Thank you for that.
I think
Jeff needed a call about his warranty anyways. It was time.
Yeah, it's time to hear from the laptop. I think we're on Jasmine Crockett, as we all should be. So, okay, yeah. What? No, just kidding. I didn't mean to say it like that, but I just heard it. So, I've said a lot of weird things today.
I like that one.
I think I'm on 20 on the outline.
Is it the LLC? And is it the LLC that your attorney works for?
I believe so, yes.
You believe so. Okay. So
she's talking to Bob Alinsky. Bob Alinsky is so rude to women too. Like, if he interrupts men, he interrupts women 10 times as much.
at this point in time, I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a document indicating that the law firm representing Tony Bobulinski was paid $10,000 as recently as January of this year by the Save America PAC, which you may recognize as Donald Trump's PAC.
Without objection.
So she's saying that he's receiving money. Tony Bobulinski, the witness in this case, has been receiving money from the Save America PAC.
Yeah, probably not for like testimony or anything. It's probably for all the good work that he's doing.
Just for being a good patriot.
This year by the Save America PAC, which you may recognize as Donald Trump's PAC.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Now, so far in this hearing, it has felt like the worst episode of The Apprentice. I'm sure you're familiar with that show. It seems like my colleagues and maybe you and some others are trying to become the next vice president of the United States of America. You're auditioning or something like that because Mr. Bobulinski, I know that you take exception to the fact that your credibility has been called into question over and over. But when someone comes to testify under oath, whether it's before this committee, behind closed doors, or in person, then we have to evaluate someone's credibility. And sir, I definitely have always had issues with your credibility, as I know that you are very well aware of. So let me remind you of what happened behind closed doors.
Well, you should ask Ro Khanna about my credibility.
You a question. Okay?
You are?
When I haven't. So when I ask you a question, that's when you answer. Otherwise, I'm talking. So,
excuse me?
With my time,
You heard.
it's my time.
You heard, bitch.
I want to be
He said, "It's my time, because it's my time." Did you hear him? Like, he's like,
Yeah,
excuse
excuse
me?
me?
Like, just don't speak. Someone had to buy your shirt that you're wearing today. Just don't talk, Tony. You're talking to a prosecutor.
Okay?
You are?
When I haven't. So when I ask you a question, that's when you answer. Otherwise, I'm talking. So,
excuse me?
With my time, because it's my time, I want to be clear that when we were behind closed doors, you called a number of people liars. You called the Wall Street Journal liars. You called Cassidy Hutchinson a liar. You called the FBI a liar. You called Rob Walker a liar. You called James Gilliar a liar. You called Hunter Biden a liar. You called Jim Biden a liar. And just today, you added to your list, you called my colleague, Congressman Mr. Goldman, a liar as well. It seems like, according to you, the only person that's telling the truth is you, and everyone else is lying. But I want to move on to something else.
Is that a question?
It's
or?
not a question.
Okay.
You'll know when I ask you a question, I promise.
Thank you.
So, okay.
It's not a question.
Let me explain how English works.
If
Shut
you
up,
guys
bitch.
just could understand how many times he interrupted people, like it was, and like I said, in true Republican form, it was double to women. When women speak, Republican men were just like, I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying.
I want her
like,
to fix me so bad.
Jasmine Crockett? No, yeah, she can't.
Take up a project, Jasmine. I'm here.
No, she's a whole person who's looking for another whole person.
Shut up. How about that?
I don't know where that came from. That was, I did not think before I said that.
I'm fine. I can be fixed.
I'm totally fine. Wait, what are you picking up on?
You were my hype man.
Yeah,
What's
together we make a whole person. I will say that.
I'm moldable, Jasmine. I'm moldable.
If we pasted ourselves together, we might make a whole person. Okay, so this is Jasmine continuing to argue with Tony.
That your company is the company of somebody who's been found liable of fraud, as well as defamation, as well as sexual and for whatever reason can't pay his bills at this point in time. But you're aware if Trump had any associates that have been found guilty of anything. Okay, so when you were called here to testify, you weren't called here to testify for any other reason than to tell the truth. Is that correct?
Yes, Congresswoman.
Now, we started this whole sham off because of the 1023. And that was debunked by you, was it not?
Yeah.
Way before we started this impeachment inquiry. And you mentioned a number of times this guy by the name of Rudy Giuliani.
Yes.
Now, everybody is so stressed about the fact that Hunter ain't here today. But, Hunter came and testified behind closed doors for over 6 hours. And every single one of them, they weren't limited to 5 minutes. They could ask whatever they wanted to. And there's a full transcript of his testimony. So I don't know what else they wanted to do besides the fact that they wanted to put on a show. But let me tell you something. This whole thing is based upon something that Giuliani came up with.
Yes.
And we tried to subpoena him. That's what I remember. If anybody else remember, we said, hey, we should subpoena Giuliani. But kind of like when we were trying to get his cell phone, they shut it down, right? Like
She's pointing to Scott Perry. Like, you know what I mean? She's talking about Scott Perry's cell phone.
I'm pretending she's yelling at me though.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. I totally understand. It's like
They shut
Just
it
want to
down,
make her
right?
mad
Like
for
they
like a
don't
little
want the
bit.
facts. But you would agree with me that considering the fact that you were working under Rudy Giuliani at the time that you went over to Ukraine, that he has maybe some valuable information that he could offer this committee as to whether or not there's anything that we should be investigating in the first place.
Absolutely, Councilwoman. I wish that this committee would subpoena Rudy Giuliani, put him under oath alongside me to get to the bottom of the truth of what actually happened in Ukraine and to the manipulation that Trump and Giuliani and the team went to do.
boom.
We know that your company
That's crazy, right? Like, and it's right. And I don't know if it's, I think it is about to happen. The reason she's saying that is they basically do a motion to subpoena Rudy Giuliani and the Republicans kill it.
No! No! You can't do that.
They outvoted him because they can't have Rudy Giuliani, right, who had all these direct conversations with Trump, coming anywhere near being under oath.
I mean, has there ever been in the history of like crimes or hearings, has there ever been like a more ridiculous cast of characters? If you make the movie about Trump,
This is like a movie.
yeah,
Just
one
like
of
the bumbling idiot. Like, this is like Ocean's like 14.
yeah, I can't remember who the comedian was, but somebody at one point, they were like, you have to love that Trump's president because of all the jokes. And he's like, no, it's harder because like what he says would normally be the joke. But like, he's like, it's so crazy that like, I can't make anything, like the joke needs to be a little bit outrageous to work, but I can't say anything outrageous enough that like he wouldn't say. And that's the cast of characters we have here. Like you got Rudy, you got the Kraken, you got Bobolinsky. There's the cast of characters they've brought together to try and prove a case is phenomenal.
Oh, that's not. I'm remembering now what happens. They bring up a motion. They try to subpoena not Giuliani. They try to subpoena Kushner. That's what happens next. So then they start going in on like, oh, we want to talk about corruption, you know?
Yeah.
And like, then they're like, what about? Yeah, this is good.
What
Raskin.
was the role that Jared Kushner played in covering up the assassination and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi,
We should
ordered by
absolutely
the
ask that
Royal
question,
Conference?
ranking member. And so I want to know if Hunter Biden.
And this is who broke in right now. It's like Greg Casar. He's the chair of the Progressive Caucus. He's a representative from Texas.
I want to know if Hunter Biden had accepted $2 billion from the Saudi government. I'm sure we'd be looking into that today. And Mr. Chairman, I believe we can agree that there should not be undue influence in the White House. And I believe we should be able to agree that we should look into these questions about Mr. Kushner. And in fact, Mr. Chairman, you were on CNN and said, quote, I've been very vocal that I think what Kushner did crossed the line of ethics. And then
Comer was on CNN saying that. Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
They are hammering Comer.
Real quick,
go ahead.
breaking news. Thank you, Ruth. Hunter Biden's laptop reveals that Biden's father is Batman.
That's not. Yeah.
Joe's been hiding in plain sight.
Origin story. We need a Hunter Biden's laptop
Thanks, Ruth.
origin story.
Thank you, Ruth.
Hunter Biden the other day, when we were discussing Mr. Kushner, you said, Mr. Chairman, and I quote from the deposition, when we deal with influence peddling, we'll ask about Jared Kushner. Well, today's hearing is titled Influence Peddling. So we are here. So, Mr. Comer, I would love to hear from you. Can we fulfill our responsibility as an oversight committee and determine if Saudi Arabia bribed or unduly influenced Jared Kushner or other White House officials?
Yes.
Is that something we'd be willing to look into?
We've already had a conversation with Ms. Porter. I'm going to answer one time. Ms. Porter and I have pledged to work on influence peddling legislation. We'll take up all the people who have been accused of influence peddling. We'll try to determine whether Jared Kushner has a real business. We haven't been able to find a real business that the Bidens have had yet. Now, just still your time.
Well, we should have bipartisan influence peddling legislation.
Yeah,
but
I'm wondering why Jim.
that's
Comer-
not an answer. He's dodging the why aren't we subpoenaing Jared Kushner at the influence peddling hearing question.
I get that. I'm just saying, James Comer, you think you look dumb now. Wait till you're doing this with Katie Porter.
Oh, she's going to do it all, and then
Yeah.
he's going to sign his name.
Determine whether Jared Kushner has a real business. We haven't been able to find a real business.
He's saying it depends. Oh, yeah. Look, Comer is saying, he's like, should we subpoena? He's like, it depends on if he has a real business.
White House officials. Is that something we'd be willing to look into?
We've already had a conversation with Ms. Porter. I'm going to answer one time. Ms. Porter and I have pledged to work on influence peddling legislation. We'll take up all the people who have been accused of influence peddling. We'll try to determine whether Jared Kushner has a real business. We haven't been able to find a real business that the Bidens have had yet. Now, just still
Which
your
is not
time.
true.
So could we expect to subpoena Mr. Kushner's correspondence with the Saudi government or
Mhm.
his firm's financial records or financial transactions?
We should.
Now, when
subpoena
looking
all of
for
them.
evidence that a business existed, evidence that that business existed would be as simple as finding the name of the LLC. That's how they know about Hunter Biden's businesses, because they found the LLCs. So they found exclusively evidence that Hunter Biden's businesses existed, and they're saying that are they saying they can't even find an LLC for Jared Kushner? I'm pretty sure one
No,
exists.
he definitely has one. No, he's
Yeah.
saying like,
What's
I
he
don't know why
saying?
he's saying that. I mean, yeah, that is a good. He's just deflecting, but yeah, I don't know why he's drawing that comparison. And because if you extend the line of logic further, by that logic, he also doesn't have businesses. Like this is his. That's why he dropped saying the word shell companies. Notice he's not
Yeah.
saying shell company anymore, because by his definition, he was just saying LLCs. In fact, were shell companies, which then by then Comer turns out has a bunch of shell companies.
Yeah.
So
Guys,
none
not-
of this makes sense.
Not all businesses have a product and a storefront. And I know that to Republicans, that's what makes a business. Like, you have to sell a product. Like, they all think everybody, like, for example, taking investments, doing investing, that's not a real business. But, like, selling fidget spinners, that's a real business, because you give them $5, they give you a fidget spinner. That's a real business. But if you're doing investing, that's not a real business, which is a bizarre thing for them to say, considering who they are.
Just still your time, Mr.
So could we expect to subpoena Mr. Kushner's correspondence with the Saudi government or his firm's financial records or financial transactions between Mr. Kushner and his father-in-law? Is that something that we would consider doing as part of that hearing you just discussed?
What was the question?
If we are serious about looking into foreign money, I saw recently a poster board here about $100,000 to a car dealership. Are we going to be serious about the $2 billion from the Saudi government to Mr. Kushner? My question is, would we be at least subpoenaing Jared's correspondence with the Saudi government and his firm's financial records? Can we commit to doing that?
I think it's important to see if there were real legitimate businesses.
He says the same thing. That means nothing.
Yeah, that's what you did with Hunter.
So yes, right?
Yeah. So in order to find out and correct me if I'm wrong, in order to find out if it was a real legitimate business, just checking that there's an LLC by their definition is not enough. You have to investigate the finances. You have to figure out what the finances came in. Why did they come in from the Saudi government? Who, by the way, they didn't do anything wrong besides funding 9/11. Besides that, they're squeaky clean. There's no other accusations against the Saudi government at all. They have no
None at all.
material
it's not like
interest.
One of the Saudi princes allegedly trapped a bunch of escorts, maids, and other women from Los Angeles in a mansion for months at a time. It was apparently may or may not have been torturing them.
Yeah,
we don't know.
They just thought their investment fund, that they needed to take $2 billion out of their investment fund and give it to somebody who was starting his very first investment fund, had never done this before. He's like, I'm going to
Also
start
not
off a new one. And they're
qualified
like,
to be an advisor to the Middle East. First
Here's
time
two-
for everything.
Here's $2 billion, sir. We believe in you. Sure. That sounds legitimate. Sounds legitimate to me.
Makes perfect sense. He doesn't need to be subpoenaed.
He does not. Let's see. We got a comment coming in real quick. Oh, no.
So many glasses.
Breaking news from Chris. Hunter Biden's laptop has been found attending a musical. Lauren Boebert has
With Boebert.
Lauren Boebert has exposed its hard drive.
That's really good. That's a good one. Attending
Chris.
Beetlejuice.
Look, I love how all of you, our friends, keep us updated on breaking news while we're trying to cover yesterday's news. You guys are a real asset. It's important that we cover breaking stories. So thank you guys so much for that. You're real team players, all of you.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion. I would move pursuant to Clause 2K6 of Rule 11 that the committee issue a subpoena to Jared Kushner to compel testimony related to the $2 billion collected from Saudi Arabia after his service within the White House.
Second.
Jasmine.
There's a motion and second.
I know who that was.
That was second.
Oh, I know that voice.
Okay.
Imagine if Jasmine
Jay
Crockett
loves
said second to
Jasmine.
me.
Listen, she's great. I think I encourage you to have a crush on Jasmine because she is actually a good person. So
well, the other ones could be
you're
good.
probably maybe you're healing. This is a step in the right direction for you.
The other ones could be good people if they gave me a chance.
Yeah, just once you fix them. Once you fix them.
I'll take care of it.
What purpose does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition?
Move to table the motion.
There's a motion.
So they're moving immediately after they move to subpoena Jared Kushner. A Republican moves to table that motion.
Every time.
Is not the motion to table is not debatable. As many as are in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion to.
First of all, no. One was louder than the other. Now they're going to do a count, and in all fairness, everybody knows what the count is going to be before this. But I just want to point out that in the opinion of the chair, that was tough. If I was the chair, I'd be like a little bit louder. I'd do that thing. What do you say? I can't hear you. That's what I would have done.
And then sometimes they make them actually vote one at a time. Like the first vote, they started making them vote one at a time. But yeah, they killed the motion. This is why we're saying this is a show. If they were interested in investigating anything fairly, Jared Kushner would be subpoenaed. Rudy Giuliani, the person that could clear all this up, or say Lev Parnas is lying. You know what I mean? Either one. If the Republicans wanted to know the truth, they would subpoena the people that could just clear up the truth. They don't want that to happen.
And look, Democrats have been a little bit slower than they probably should have been, but Democrats now figured they realize Republicans are going to keep playing this game, and it doesn't matter how serious we take everything. It doesn't matter what we bring to the table. Republicans are going to start playing this game. So you've seen the Democrats switch now to just being like, all right, you guys are pathetic. Fine. If it's going to be a joke hearing, let's talk about what a joke you guys are. Let's force your guys' vote on things that you claim in the media that you want to do, but when you're here, you won't vote on it because you know you'll lose. The Democrats are finally figuring out that these people that they're working with are not ever going to be serious about legislating. So expose them for who they are. Expose them for not only not legislating, but also being massive frauds and above average stupid. Whatever the average is for stupid, they're far above that.
That's another thing they're winning at.
3-0. That's 3 wins for HVAC today.
Above average stupidity.
Yeah.
So now we go back to Jasmine Crockett, right? Because she was part of she seconded trying to subpoena Jared Kushner. She starts talking again, and Bob Alinsky is trying to interrupt.
He's like, a woman? Not again!
I don't know what he's thinking. Or, like I said, he's one of the Republicans with a humiliation kink, and he wants her to yell at him.
But we're not.
Which, I mean, I think we all a
into
little
that,
bit want her to yell at us.
We wouldn't judge you if you were into that.
I just want to make sure that I point out, and this is not a question, just in case you wanted to know, that on page 170.
Did you hear? And this is not a question in case you wanted to know. She's awesome.
Point out, and this is not a question, just in case you wanted to know, that on page 174 of your transcribed interview, line 9, it says, "This is an absolute lie," in reference to talking about the FBI. What you stated.
I did not call the
what
FBI
was stated
agents
right
liars.
before that was, first of all, I said that I'm speaking, and I did not ask you a question. First of all, it doesn't say Tony Bobolinsky told the FBI. This is a summary of 2 agents that took notes through my interview, and their summary. Apparently,
that they presented says Bobulinski first met in person with members of the Biden family at a 2017 meeting in Miami, Florida. This is an absolute lie. That is what it says. The final thing that I'm going to say is about this. What we have from Kim.
Now she's got a blown up thing behind her of Ken Buck and his quote about like why he's leaving the house.
This. What we have from Kim Buck, a Republican. I don't think that the impeachment of Biden is appropriate, and so House Speaker Mike Johnson's ability to talk me into staying here is going to be about as successful as his ability about an unconstitutional impeachment.
I'll let her have 30 seconds over. Chair.
I just want to make
That's hilarious. I'm sorry.
Comer, he's so gassed. He is out of energy. He's just like, okay, all right.
And she
All right,
wears
he,
like
like-
Chanel suits and like Chanel pins. Like she's like a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, I love Jasmine Crockett. Are you there, Jay?
Sorry, I was checking comments and thinking about what Jasmine Crockett was wearing. I apologize for that.
Okay. Now let's move on to Jared Moskowitz because we all knew it was coming. And he was hilarious.
The chairman has not yet moved for that.
The way that Jared Moskowitz trolls James Comer, like I think even James Comer is starting to enjoy it. Like it's getting weird.
He does smile.
Yeah, he does
Moskowitz.
sometimes smile. Like I'm like, are you
Yeah.
guys enjoying this?
Jim Jordan did too. Like Moskowitz cracked both of them up on this one. They're beautiful.
Chairman has not yet moved for that. And so, look, Chairman, we got like 3.5 minutes here.
This is so good.
Let's just do the impeachment. I mean, why continue to waste millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money
Yes.
if we're going to impeach because you believe you've shown he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor? What are you waiting on? Let's just do it. I mean, by the way, we got Chairman Jordan here also, the double chairman. Why aren't you guys calling for the vote in your committee? When is it going to happen? When can we tell the American people you're going to stop wasting their money and just call for the vote on impeachment?
Gentlemen, you?
Sure.
We don't do snap impeachments like you guys. We actually do the facts. We do oversight
So
according
you're
to the
never
Constitution.
going to call for it. You're never going to call for it. I mean,
Now you can predict. You can predict the future. How do you know?
You guys only have 6 more months probably in power, right, until the election. So are you gonna do it in 2 months? Are you gonna do it in 3 months? Like, tell the American people.
Does the Constitution put a time limit on oversight?
So
I don't think I didn't read that in the
So that
Constitution.
means, if you believe you can't call for the impeachment now, then what you're admitting is you haven't yet proven that he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor. You haven't proven it yet. Otherwise, you would call for it, I assume.
We're doing our work.
Okay, so they haven't proven it, right? They haven't proven he committed a high crime and misdemeanor. Otherwise, we would call for impeachment. So I just, look, the chairman knows me well. I mean, I'm just here to help him, right?
I'm just here
and so
to
I
help
think
him.
we should do it today. Let's just call for it. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it.
It's your turn.
No, nothing. Okay, we got nothing. So I want to, with my last couple minutes, show the American people that they're never going to impeach Joe Biden. It's never going to happen because they don't have the evidence. Okay, this is a show. It's all fake. They just want to do these hearings. It's not leading to impeachment. They're lying to their base on Newsmax and Fox, leading these people to believe that they're going to eventually impeach the president. It's not going to happen at all, ever. Period. They don't even have the votes, even if they had it in committee. They don't have the votes on the floor. They know that.
I mean,
yeah, Jim Jordan's like, we don't do snap impeachments. Okay, but you're using the same fucking evidence from a year ago. You haven't updated any evidence. You guys just keep doing the same thing over and over. What do you mean you're doing your work? No, you're not. You keep turning in the same assignment over and over and over, and you're just like changing the date on it. You're not doing any more new work. There's not work happening right now. We've heard nothing that was said in this hearing yesterday was even remotely new. It hasn't been new for 6 months at least. None of this is new. We knew all of this.
yes,
This is
and he
so
wore
good.
a Putin mask into the room. Yes, Jared
he did do
Moskowitz
that.
wore a Putin mask.
Which
into
was
the room.
childish, and I loved it. It was both.
Yeah, I'm here for it personally. Oh, I think I have another clip where Moskowitz is saying the same thing along the same lines, like call for the vote. He's like yelling it at them, and then Tony Bobolitsky gets involved.
Good.
Which is just like, Tony, you're out of your depth, Tony. You're out of your depth. Like, why would you ever? I would never get involved in that. He's fighting with Jim Jordan and James Comer, and then Tony's like, I have something to add.
I'd like to be involved in this, please.
I really have something important to say now.
Damn sure they would have called the vote by now, right? But they want it to go on. They either want it to go on because they don't have the evidence.
Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm just looking at you.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to talk to me, we can talk.
Well, no, I think you haven't read recent data that shows the American people are well aware of the Biden's corruption.
Perfect. So then ask the chairman why he hasn't called for impeachment, Tony. He's right here. Ask Comer. Hey, Comer, how come you haven't called for impeachment? I'll do it. Watch. Hi, I'm Tony. Hey, chairman, how come you haven't called for impeachment? When are we going to have the hearing? When is the vote going to happen? I mean, you believe it. He believes it. He says it every day on TV. I just don't know when we're going to have the vote. I mean, let's just go.
Are you asking me to hold the vote?
No, I just like looking at you. We can save.
No, I just like looking at you. I mean, he just dog walked Tony Bobulinski. Like, that's why that's an unforced error for Tony. You didn't have to involve yourself in that. You came for him, and
it's good to see Comer doing his Comer thing, where he's like, when he gets stumped, he just goes,
and they don't try to help Tony either.
To
Notice, like, did Comer or Jim Jordan try to save Tony? No, they did not.
Jim Jordan
they just left him dangling in the wind.
If you look, Jim Jordan was so uncomfortable. Jim Jordan looked the other way.
Yeah, Jim Jordan's like,
I'm doing something else now.
No,
and
they
Comer
abandon each other at every turn. Like, they don't have each other's backs. I know. Comer's like, should I call for the vote? Like, he almost, like, convinced Comer to
It
call
almost
for
worked,
the
yeah. That
impeachment
would have
vote.
been
He was
amazing.
confused.
We can save the taxpayers millions of dollars. So, I mean, look, I used all of my time to show that this vote is never going to happen because they have no evidence on Joe Biden. I yield back.
Jared Moskowitz was amazing yesterday.
A comment from Amber. I'm looking at you, kid. Thank you. I assume you meant me because Felisa's an actual adult, so I assume you're
not, but I'm faking it better than you on most days.
That's true.
I'm really good at I'm a chameleon. Okay, so this is a really good one. Maxwell Frost, who I love. He did such a good job. He was calling out Ron Johnson. Then he's the one that was talking about the Foreign Intelligence Committee tying all of the information in the FBI 1023 to Russian occupied Crimea.
I think you're a serious fucking person if your name is Maxwell and you go by Maxwell. Like, that's a
I love
big
the
move.
name Maxwell. I agree. You should.
I just feel like if your name is Maxwell, like, everybody expects greatness out of you. So if you accept to be called Maxwell, I automatically respect you.
I agree. And I love Maxwell Frost.
Authors of the Republican Burisma report would be your, quote, guy in the Senate to push all the information, end quote. What did you mean by that?
Senator Ron Johnson was our guy in the Senate. He was told to me that when we push
Ron.
the information, he's going to push it in the halls of Congress.
So when the media was getting skeptical about pushing disinformation after they've proven it wrong time and time again, the plan was to have a U.S. Senator, Ron Johnson, to push that disinformation even further.
Correct.
Got it all
because we
wrong?
had
Send
Congressman
it to
Nunez
Ron.
already doing it, so Senator Ron Johnson jumped on board.
This Congress, both Chairman Comer and Chairman Jordan have centered this entire sham impeachment hearing on an FBI tip sheet. This tip sheet made wild claims about bribery that didn't even come close to being backed up. And in fact, it's all being proved to be one big lie. Mr. Parnas, is the allegation in the FBI tip sheet based on the same fabricated claims that Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani flew you to Ukraine to dig up?
Yes.
I also want to make it clear that the informant allegedly behind this tip sheet is facing criminal charges for lying about the Biden family and was a known fraud for years before that. The same fabricated claim kept popping up and getting smacked down over and over again. In fact, our colleagues at the Foreign Affairs Committee did some amazing work on this investigation and found that this lie dates back to December 2015, almost 10 years ago. Do you happen to know the article that I'm referring to?
I don't know the exact article, but I do know that the slide has started way back in 2015.
Started about 10 years ago. It was an article entitled, quote, "The Ukrainian Scam of the Biden Family," end quote. And it was posted to a Russian language media website registered in a city in Russian-occupied Crimea.
Oh my God.
Mr. Barnes, do you have any doubt that this fabrication claim, the claim that Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani sent you to Ukraine to try to dig up more information on, is part of Russian propaganda and an effort to destabilize Ukraine and undermine our democracy?
As I sit here today, I have zero doubt that Russia's involved. This is a Russian campaign to interfere in our elections.
Thank you.
And again,
No, thank you, Maxwell Frost.
yeah, and again, Lev Parnas. Yeah, anybody can say I believe that this was Russian disinformation. This was Russia trying to meddle. Any of us can say that, and we might be able to back it up. But only one of us has funneled money from Russia to Donald Trump. Only one of us has dealt directly with Russia in figuring out a way to funnel their money into Donald Trump's pockets. And that one person is Lev Parnas. So like the one person that we could probably trust here knows what Russia's doing because he took money from them to do political favors. Yeah, like a pretty good witness.
I'm so glad you brought that up because this is where Matt Gaetz, who's under investigation for trafficking, breaks in and starts talking to Lev Parnas about like, oh, you've been convicted of fraud. And he's like, I worked for the president. He's like, yeah, for the president.
Yeah.
Like, or something. This is crazy. It's like, Matt Gaetz, don't throw stones in your glass house.
Like everyone here today, the only one working for a Russian oligarch was you. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
I just heard you.
It's public information.
Yeah, no, I just heard you wax poetic.
I got paid $200,000. You know how much I got paid.
You were really worried about our democracy, and you were here to warn us. But you were working for.
You know how much I got paid. Did you hear?
Yeah.
This is why Matt Gaetz hasn't been going after him at all.
And you were here to warn us, but you were working for a Russian oligarch.
On behalf of President
marijuana
Trump.
licenses.
Do you hear him? On behalf of President Trump.
Yeah, what crime was he convicted
That's
of?
why they haven't been going after Lev Parnas about him being a convicted criminal, because he went to jail for Trump.
Yeah,
And
for doing
apparently
what
the
specifically?
unindicted co-conspirator was Congressman Pete Sessions.
And the crime he did in behalf of President Trump was what? He funneled money
Campaign
from Russia
finance violations.
to Trump.
Yeah. The Russians were giving money to Trump.
Yeah, maybe don't bring that up, Matt Gaetz. Maybe don't bring that up.
Which
'cause
would
that's not
go
a good
fly in the
argument for
face
you.
of the Mueller report found nothing, because in fact it didn't. It found that there were many people working for Trump.
Whoopsies. By the way, this is why we can't get debates. We got to stop breaking shit down like this, because like, what are you gonna say if you're a Republican? If you're just watching this, like,
No, I never want to delete these recordings. I want to keep them for like all time and just listen to them like for bedtime stories.
Josh went outside and like started punching walls. He just gave up. Josh can't do this anymore.
He's guarding the border.
Working for a Russian oligarch,
On
wanted
behalf
to
of
get
President
marijuana
Trump.
licenses, but then you didn't even do it. The fraud you committed against the Russian oligarch was that instead you spent the money on yourself.
Which
So, like,
isn't
was
true.
that what you
That
were
was not the
doing to
fraud.
fight
No,
against
that was not the
Russia's
fraud.
aggression?
That's a lie,
Just taking their
Congressman
money? Well, that's what you were convicted of.
No,
but
that-
but instead of spending 50 years in prison, you got 4 months. As this hearing continues, I look forward to hearing what Mr. Galanis thinks about how he was treated by DOJ for telling the truth, as opposed to how you're treated for lying.
The DOJ didn't listen to the truth, because if they would listen
The
to the
question,
truth, you
the
guys
question
would've been
Mr.
all in
Gates
jail.
had.
He just said, Lev Parnas said DOJ didn't listen to the truth, because if they listened to the truth, you guys would have all been in jail.
Look at
That
how
is what Lev Parnas just yelled at Matt Gaetz.
And look at the desperation by Comer there. Like, he starts answering, and Comer, who it's not his time, cuts him off and goes, "The question Mr. Gaetz asked, that's not your role." But yeah, Matt Gaetz, you're lying. He was not convicted for taking that money and spending it on other things. That was one of his convictions. One of his convictions was defrauding their investors at Fraud Guarantee, which again, it's called Fraud Guarantee, guys. Like, it was in the name, guaranteed fraud, Fraud Guarantee. He took, I think he was caught. It was like roughly $2 million that he defrauded investors with as well. Like, that's one of the crimes. But the main crime was funneling money from Russia to Donald Trump. And Matt Gaetz is conveniently leaving that part out.
Oh, okay. Now it's Dan Goldman time, which Bobolinsky is so belligerent, but you could tell Dan Goldman is an experienced trial lawyer who's like good at forcing people to speak. Because Bobolinsky will just dance in a circle for his entire life.
Of the transcript, and you said it's not an accurate statement, it's a lie related to an FBI report.
I didn't call them
Sorry,
liars.
I don't have
The
time. Be
statement-
quiet. Now, this is a photo that was provided by Cassidy Hutchinson after you called her a liar when she said that you met with Mark Meadows and received an envelope.
Oh, this is when Tony Bobolinsky pretends to be blind. This is it. This is when he pretends to be blind, because like Dan Goldman's assistant is holding up like a huge blown up photo of Tony Bobolinsky with a ski mask on meeting with Mark Meadows.
Real quick, Eric, I see in the request we only have like 5 minutes, so I'm not going to bring you up today. I want to finish this. So I don't.
Talk
I
to us
did see
tomorrow.
it, but yeah, we'll talk to you another time.
Yeah.
Do you see this photo? Do you acknowledge that is Mark Meadows in the red hat?
Didn't you tell me to be quiet? I don't.
I asked the question. Do you acknowledge
He's
that that's
so
Mark
bad at
Meadows?
Maybe your person can walk it closer so I can see it.
Mr. Chairman, would you indulge, since he's not answering the question,
You're 15
filibustering?
seconds over, but it maybe
Well,
helps.
let me just ask it very briefly. Is that you and Mr. Meadows buy Secret Service cars with you in a mask?
Are you kidding, Mr. Goldman? I'm sitting 20 feet away from it.
Go up to him, please. Go right up to him.
He's saying he can't see it because he's 20 feet away. He's
Yeah.
seen this picture over
Yeah.
and over and over. It's been everywhere in the press. There's no question what photo this is.
Time's expired. Maybe Mr. Swalwell will give you some time.
Could he just answer the question?
He can answer the question. Right?
So what I see in this picture is a Secret Service agent 5 feet from me with a full mask on, and a Secret Service agent sitting in a Cadillac Escalade with all the windows up with a full mask on.
Is that
So you're
you
making it a
talking
big
to
deal.
the person in the red hat?
It's the back of his head. I don't.
Is that you talking to the
Why didn't
person
you ask
in
me
the red
this,
hat?
Mr. Goldman? Did I meet Mr. Meadows at a Trump rally in
Answer
Rome,
the
Georgia? I
question.
did. I acknowledge that.
It you.
Mr.
Oh, you
Mr.
do?
Goldman.
I did.
Mr.
Of
Goldman.
course I did.
But Cassidy Hutchinson is a liar.
Cassidy Hutchinson's a liar because
Time
she
is
said
expired.
that he handed me an envelope. Mr. Meadows didn't give me a single thing.
Or the transcript. And
Yeah,
Tony,
except for
not
that's not
good,
what he
Tony.
said.
Yeah.
He denied the ski mask earlier on. Like he's revising
he
his
did.
testimony, but he also said that I wasn't wearing a ski mask. I wasn't there. I didn't get an envelope. And now the only part of the story that they haven't been able to prove is like did he hand him an envelope? So that's the one part now he's like, oh, that's what I was talking about. But he denied all this other
Well,
stuff already.
Yeah, he's lied under oath many, many times. Or
Lying
changed,
about the whole story.
contradicted himself. That's what they're pointing out. It's like you keep changing the story.
And by the way, like one thing that is important to remember is that almost nobody gets in trouble with lying under oath or lying to Congress. Like we talk about it all the time, but the truth is, every one of these hearings on both sides, like somebody's got caught either lying or purposely or not purposely telling the truth. So it's fun to say like, oh, well, you could get him for perjury, but they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do shit about that. Which is fine. I'd like to see more Bobolinsky, frankly. I think, I said at the beginning, but at this point, I don't know that I could campaign for Democrats better than Republicans are. They're doing an unbelievable job right now. They're like, the border's a problem? Let's not do anything about that. Let's impeach Joe Biden. What for? We have no fucking idea. But our witnesses that we're going to bring up also have no fucking idea, and they're liars. So we'll just go with that plan. I hope they continue this all the way through November. This is devastating for Trump.
Do you want to hear Eric Swalwell or do you want to go?
Always.
Okay, he was really funny. Like this was hilarious. First of all, he basically the first part of his testimony or his 5 minutes is like him and Lev Parnas having an intervention for Tony Bobolinsky. They're like, Tony, you can change your life around. Like, no, they're just is there any hope for him? Like, it's hilarious. And then the second part is like a top 10 reasons this impeachment is dead. And then at the end of it, he like has a huge blown up time of death sheet and like writes down the time. It's hilarious. But yeah, the first part is basically them trying to get Tony Bobolinsky to see that he's a loser.
In your interactions with the Biden family, which you've told us all about throughout the day, did you ever observe the Chinese government grant 22 patents to any of Joe Biden's children while Joe Biden was in office?
I did not.
Did you ever observe the Chinese government, did you ever observe Joe Biden ever own or operate any hotels while he was in public office and take millions of dollars from foreign governments?
I did not.
Did you ever observe Joe Biden employ any of his children or their spouses in the White House as vice president or president?
I did not. I can't speak to that.
Did you ever observe, while observing the Bidens install a family member to be the co-chair of the DNC?
I'm sorry, ask the question again?
Did you ever observe the Bidens install a family member to be co-chair of the Democratic National Committee?
I did not.
Did President Biden or anyone in his family take $2 billion from the Saudi government?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did President Biden or anyone in his family get fined $355 million for tax fraud?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Parnas, as you've observed Mr. Bobulinski today and his fealty and dedication and loyalty to the Trump family, is that something you recognize as somebody who was also in that cult before?
Absolutely.
Is there hope for our man Tony here?
Very little, I think, until he hits a brick wall.
And in your experience, on a scale of 1 to 10, how eager was the Trump campaign in your interactions to manufacture dirt on Joe Biden? 1 to 10, 10 being the highest.
10 plus.
10 plus. Would it surprise you, Mr. Parnas, that the Russians and in their disinformation campaign outlets have often cited Chairman Comer's testimony and allegations against the Biden family?
What they want to happen.
Mr. Chairman, it's over.
Oh, yeah. He goes into his top 10 reasons the impeachment is dead. Hilarious. Do you want to hear the second part?
Yeah, we got a little time. Let's do the second part and then we'll wrap up. So I was a little distracted. I don't know what's going. I know that there's been some comments that came in through Venmo, and my Venmo will not load. Like I see that there's stuff that came in, but it will not load anybody's comments. So I apologize. I may have to read them tomorrow. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so this is the
Venmo's
top
down.
10 reasons why the impeachment is dead.
I want to give you the top 10 reasons why impeachment is dead. Number 10, your key witness today is testifying from the slammer. Number 9, key evidence of a bribe that you all relied on. The guy who said that has been indicted for lying about that bribe, and he's a Russian asset. Number 8, another key witness has been indicted as a Chinese agent. Number 7, during the Hunter Biden interview, Mr. Chairman, you didn't even stay for the whole time. Number 6, Chairman Jason Smith didn't show up at all to the Hunter Biden interview. The same day, number 5, Darrell Issa said it's a big nothing. Number 4, today Jim Jordan began his remarks not by relying on any evidence for this investigation, but he went off attacking the DOJ about what they're doing with the Catholics. Number 3, you all still have not sent the articles of impeachment for the Mayorkas impeachment to the Senate. And that happened last month. Number 2, you're now talking about a criminal referral. But if you had evidence for a criminal referral, then you have evidence to impeach somebody for high crimes and misdemeanors. And number 1, and I'm sorry to say this, Fox News isn't even carrying this today. In fact, one of their anchors, as they broke away 10 minutes in, said, this is the same hearing over and over and over. At what point are you going to fish or cut bait? So I just have to tell you, it's over. Impeachment's over. Dunzo. Bye-bye. Rigor mortis. Lights out. Curtain drop. Mic drop. Peace. Adios. Sayonara. Au revoir. Or a language that you all understand. Doi siv danya. Did I say that right, Mr. Parnas?
Yes.
I dare you to impeach, but you won't because you don't have the evidence. And because you don't have the evidence, you don't have the votes. Guys, it's dead. And so I'm here to pronounce the time of death.
He's now writing the time of death on a giant poster. Eric Swole is hilarious.
That is. Oh, that's beautiful. Not a peep. Nothing. How do you come back from that?
You don't.
How do you come back
You slink away in
from all
shame.
of that?
Well, we'll be back tomorrow with more impeachment talk.
Talking
It's
about
gonna be better.
untraceable diamonds.
And then they're gonna, yeah. Then James Comer runs onto Fox immediately, like Fox didn't show it because they knew how right we were, and they didn't want to see us being right so many times, and so that's why they cut away. They just knew how right we were. Fox is like, we're not doing fucking reruns in the middle of the day. We're not doing reruns. Okay? Let's do some real content.
Thank you guys so much. This was fun, right?
It was a terrific day. Thank you, Felice, for clipping all that and for watching all that and putting yourself through all of that. I can't load comments. I apologize. Anything I didn't read today, I'll read tomorrow. And we will be here tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
It's Friday.
And every weekday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time until 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we will be here. You can catch the replays of our lives on YouTube. You can actually catch us live on YouTube as well, thanks to Jen. And I just wanted, just real quick before we went, Jen has had a really miserable day, so it would be good if everybody could just message her. Just tell her one or two things that you really like about her and that you love her. I think it would go a long way. So
For sure.
that's it. So everybody message Jen. Tell